Chapter 1293, Slaughter. Chapter 1293, Slaughter, _ Qinlei told them everything. The Qin family had lived in the star area for dozens of thousands of years. They had the family records. The rumors said that from the beginning, there wasn't even a single mineral star around Heaven Cloud Star. They had only dead stars and many massive hovering meteorites. They had sometimes blocked the way. The Qin family used to seclude, and they had only cultivated in their Heaven Cloud Star. When they needed cultivating materials, they visited the market in Thunder Firmament Star area. According to the Qin family's records, there was a terrifying commotion at the star area barrier 10,000 years ago. A loud explosion accompanied with reverberating thunder like doomsday was heard all of a sudden. The precursors of Qin family came to check and found that a large area of the space barrier was shattered. Dazzling electrical beams shot out and killed many warriors of the Qin family who came to investigate. The lucky warriors had escaped from the scene at their max speed. They didn't dare to linger to observe. After that, the outer space around Heaven Cloud Star of the Qin family still had Earth-destructive shock waves that came from the dead stars and the meteorites that blocked the star. But the Qin family didn't dare to go there to observe anymore. Several years after those terrifying shock waves disappeared, the precursors of the Qin family came to see. Until that time, they found that many massive meteorites that used to block the space were broken into many smaller pieces. The brutal thunder and lightning storm filled the space. The dead stars there exploded and disappeared while some other small stars had changed their positions. It seemed like a huge change had affected this remote area. After several hundred years, the strong electric currents still appeared in that area and moved around before disappearing. Then, the Qin family came and found that the dead stars there had changed. The mountains there began to produce a wind thunderstone. The wind thunderstone had lightning and thunder energy that was like divine crystals to the warriors cultivating lightning power Upanishad. The dead stars had become the mineral stars. The Qin family had become richer with a large amount of wind thunderstones exploited. The Qin family had gradually been stronger thanks to those wind thunderstone mineral lodes. Then, the God clan had sent a troop to Heaven Cloud Star because of this massive quantity of wind thunderstones. They had enslaved the Qin family to exploit the ores and transport them away. Wind thunderstone. Shuryen was touched. He nodded as he got it now. From what Qinlei had told them, Shuryen confirmed that the emergence of the wind thunderstone was absolutely related to the immemorial thunder dragon's remains. Perhaps the immemorial thunder dragon was buried in one of those mineral stars. The immemorial thunder dragon used to be in existence at the immortal realm, so his remains had terrifying thunder and lightning power. Because it was buried for a long time underground, it was able to change the mountain rock and produce wind thunderstones. Take me to those mineral lodes, Shuryen ordered Qinlei. Qinlei was hesitant. So, Shuryen frowned. It's not impossible, but the God clan's warriors guard the mines. When you get exposed, it will be troublesome, explained Qinlei. What's the highest realm of those people watching the mine? Asked Shuryen. Not very different from ours. However, at the same realm, the God warriors are stronger than us. The warrior with the highest realm here is at second sky of ethereal God realm. He's more intimidating than me, Qinlei answered. Too weak. Not enough for me to recover my power, Shuryen mumbled and then said, Take us there. You don't need to worry about those God warriors. We'll handle them. Qinlei's eyes brightened up. She nodded happily. It's good then. After she could see that Ouyang Luo Shuang had incipient God realm cultivation base, she believed that she would use their power to overturn the bad situation of the Qin family. And now, Shuryen proactively wanted to attack the God clan. It was her wish, actually. Qinlei talked to her troopers and took Shuryen and Ouyang Luo Shuang on a war chariot. They flew towards the mineral star that the Qin family guarded. Shuryen stood on the war chariot and looked at the space barrier that had the immemorial thunder dragon soul. He secretly left a wisp of soul consciousness to mark the place. Not long after they had left, De Carlos appeared from a space slit on the star area barrier. He looked compassionate when he looked at the wisps of immemorial thunder dragon soul. He sighed, My old friend, it's not my wish to let you wait and suffer for so long time. To resurrect you, I need the origin of the planet that gave birth to you. Even if I was more worried, I would still have to wait. However, if it goes smoothly this time, not only will you be revived, but you will also have good luck. The one with the origin of your ancestral planet also has the Genesis fruit. Your fortune is coming to you. De Carlos looked at the lightning beams and smiled. When you're revived, I will bring good wine to drink with you and congratulate you. I'm waiting for you. He looked in the direction Shiryen had disappeared. He mumbled to himself, shrank into a light, and disappeared. The gold beetle war chariot slowed down. Qinlei pointed at the area ahead of them and said sternly, "That's the mineral star that our Qin family guards. There are dozens of mines. Take a look at them. Can you see those mineral stars connected to each other by some strange matter? It wasn't like that previously. After that great commotion, they've become connected." Shiryen looked in the direction she was pointing at, his face surprised. There were some mineral stars in front of them. Those planets didn't have plants or grass. There were only mountains. Qinlei said that those mineral stars were the transformation of the dead stars. It was true, indeed. Those mineral stars had strange shapes of an egg, a spear, or a ball. Those mineral stars used to be separated. But right now, they were stuck to each other and looked like an ugly chunk. More pieces of meteorites scattered around this group of malignant, tumor-like mineral stars where people had built some accommodations. They looked beautiful and luxurious, with many people walking in and out. He closed his eyes, scanning through the area. Immediately, he found many low-realm warriors working on a massive mineral star. They were most likely warriors of the Qin family. Only warriors could become miners who worked and were exposed to outer space. Ordinary people couldn't breathe or have enough energy to do that. Thus, the God clan had bullied and forced the Qin family warriors to become their slaves. The warriors of the Qin family had to live inside the dark mineral stars without sunlight and exploit the ores. The members of the Bradley family scattered around the mineral stars and stayed in those accommodations. They didn't need to work. Every day, they just spent time to cultivate, drink, and had fun while watching the Qin family warriors. Qinlei looked at those small houses around the mineral stars and the god warriors. Her scarred face showed a deep resentment. The flame of anger burned in her eyes. "You hate them a lot, right?" Ouyang Luo Shuang asked faintly. Hearing her, the Qin family warriors on the 3 gold beetle war chariots gritted their teeth and nodded in unison. "The strongest warriors over there have the same second sky of ethereal god realm like you. Why don't you dare to attack them?" asked Ouyang Luo Shuang. Qinlei's face showed her bitter and mournful feelings. "I tried and failed. I was confined for 3 years. If they didn't need more slaves to exploit the ores, they would slaughter us and destroy the Qin family. We exist to exploit the mines for them. They want the wind thunderstone. They use the precious stones to exchange for their wealth and the better conditions for their family member in ancient god star area. Compared to them, we're just the low servants." Qinlei ground her teeth, her eyes filled with reluctant sorrow. "We can kill them all and even their warriors on your heaven sky star. But aren't you be afraid of them taking revenge later?" asked Ouyang Luo Shuang. "We heard that they're in trouble now. Lately, they have sent many battleships out of Thunder Firmament star area. We think that they are in a war. We want to seize this chance to escape their confinement and leave. We don't want to live here anymore because we can't even have basic conditions to cultivate. Our realms have begun to decrease." Qinlei was dismal and helpless. "If you sincerely cooperate with me, I agree with you that I will give your Qin family a way to survive. I can take you guys to another star area to live," said Shiryen all of a sudden. Listening to him, Qinlei and the Qin family warriors had their eyes brighten, and they looked at him with excitement. "Is it real?" "It's easy for me," Shiryen smiled. The Qin family warriors were so thrilled. Qinlei replied immediately, "We will try our best to cooperate with you." Shiryen grinned, nodded, and then turned into a light beam that shot forward. "Who's that?" "Wanton." "Ah, that's him. He's the one Sir Wright wants to find." Many warriors of the god clan on the meteorite by the massive mineral star were startled. They hissed and shouted, their faces angry. However, the blood rain then covered them. Shiryen was like a bloody sword that brutally thrust into the flesh body. The god warriors exploded in a blood light. All of them were killed tragically. Although his god power was massively consumed before, it wasn't a problem for him to deal with the warriors below second sky of ethereal god realm. He discreetly used the devouring power Upanishad. Every time he passed by a warrior, the acupuncture points in his entire body sucked forcefully and the essence Qi, blood Qi, and even the flesh body of the god warriors were sucked out. They turned into dried corpses quickly. Yan came to the god warrior who was at second sky of incipient god realm cultivation base and placed his hand on the man's head. While Qinlei and the others of the Qin family were watching, the essence Qi and even blood and flesh of that god warrior were sucked out. His vitality drained rapidly. After dozens of seconds, the man had turned into ashes and not even a bone was left. Yan touched his glabella. The black hole appeared and moved around the meteorite to swallow the soul altars of those dead warriors. After several minutes, 35 god warriors were slaughtered. The Qin family warriors were petrified. Even Ouyang Luo Shuang became slightly pale. She began to doubt if going with Yan was a good move. Everything had happened quickly. When the Qin family warriors and Ouyang Luo Shuang could get a hold of themselves, the god warriors were all killed. Their vitality was drawn. Chapter 1294. Risk Life. Chapter 1294. Risk Life, _ Yan felt so happy. It had been years and Yan had never dared to expose his devouring power Upanishad while fighting the others. He didn't dare to use this special ability to swallow the soul altars. It was because he understood the gruesome power of this Upanishad. He had advised him not to show it before he reached incipient god realm or was enthroned. It would keep him away from the god clan's eye. Thus, he always felt like his hands were tied. However, he didn't need to conceal it now. He could release the evil inside him as he could show the devouring power Upanishad as he pleased. Today's slaughter was the battle where he felt the most free. Although it was only him attacking the others, he felt satisfied. He slightly closed his eyes and checked his conditions. The deaths of 35 god warriors had supplied him the merest piece of energy. No need to talk about breaking to second sky of incipient god realm. It wasn't enough to refill his energy. He knew that it wasn't good. With his current condition, even if he could find the immemorial Thunder Dragon's remains inside the mine, he couldn't check it or do anything to move it out, let alone gather the dragon's soul and resurrect him. He needed more energy. He needed to recover fast. It would be the best if he could increase his realm to second sky of incipient god realm. That would give him more confidence. Take me to your heaven cloud star. I'll help your Qin family destroy the god clan warriors. Yan turned to Qinlei. Qinlei was restless and frightened. She nodded instinctively. Yes, yes. She was aghast, indeed. She thought that Ouyang Luo Shuang was the stronger warrior between these two. It was because Yan's god power was exhausted that she couldn't feel his terrifying energy fluctuations. However, seeing that Yan was like a hungry wolf entering a sheep pasture when killing the god warriors who had enslaved them for so many years brutally and quickly, she was surprised. She didn't even blink. She saw Yan use an extremely evil power Upanishad to take the energy of the god warriors. He had even taken in their soul altars. She had never seen any power Upanishad as malicious as his. She became fearful and worried as she doubted her decision. It was because Yan's performance was beyond her estimation. He was too brutal. Let's go to Heaven Cloud Star. Yan bellowed again. Qinlei was frightened. She didn't dare to linger and urged her troopers. Go! Go to Heaven Cloud Star. The 3 gold beetle war chariots hissed and flew away, hurrying to take Yan and Ouyang Luo Shuang away. At the same time, the Qin warriors came out of the mines. All of them looked bony. They were baffled when they looked at the scene and didn't know what had just happened. They're dead. They're all dead. Oh my gosh. What happened? They quickly discovered the bodies of the god clan warriors and screamed. They looked at Qinlei flying away and felt so happy. They thought that Qinlei had done this. Qinlei forced a smile and told them, "Guys, wait here. Don't go anywhere." The Qin family warriors nodded continuously. Before the gold beetle war chariots flew away, Xiao had left a signal at the direction of this mineral star. After he was done with the stuff in the Heaven Cloud Star, he could get here in any minute. Although his space power Upanishad couldn't help him tear the space and move between different star areas, it was as easy as flipping his hand when he wanted to travel within a star area. After Xiao and Qinlei had left, De Carlos appeared again secretly by that area. He rubbed his white hair and mumbled to himself. Sigh, why doesn't he do the right thing now? Why does he need to waste his power for irrelevant things? The old man looked at the massive mineral stars and said, "Old friend, don't be anxious. Soon, we will meet up again." Heaven Cloud Star. It was a level 4 life star, which isn't really big. Because of its isolated location, it wasn't lively. Not many people visited this place. This life star had only one force of warriors, and it was the Qin family. There were dozens of thousands of them, but their realms weren't high. Most of them were at Disaster Realm and Nascent Realm. The number of King God Realm warriors was small. A grand palace was built on an imposing mountain of Heaven Cloud Star. This palace used to be the Qin family's holy land, but the God Clan troop had claimed it. Qin Rong, the current chief of the Qin family, lived with the other warriors of the family by the foot of this mountain. They could only lift their heads to look at their ancestral land. "Sir, that avatar is just at third sky of ethereal god realm like you. If we join hands and try our best, can we kill him?" By the mountain foot, an elder of the Qin family looked at the Holy Land, his eyes filled with deep resentment. 3 years ago, Avatar had captured his daughter and taken her to the mountain, saying that he would impart her the power Upanishad. It had been 3 years since the elder had seen his daughter. Several days ago, a Qin family warrior had found his daughter's dead body in the valley with shabby, torn clothes, and the terrible whipping marks on her skin, which was so horrible to see. After he had received his daughter's remains, he had shut himself inside the room, crying and screaming until his voice became hoarse. Today, he went out of his room and came to see Qinrong. Gritting his teeth, a trickle of blood dripped on the corner of his mouth. He briskly proposed to Qinrong. Qinrong looked at him, his face so sad. "Yanji, if we do our best, we will have around a 50% chance to win. But what if we win? The God Clan will send stronger warriors here. Have you ever thought of the consequence of our Qin family if Right attacks us maliciously? So we just let them act like this forever?" Qin Yan's eyes were bloodshot. He ground his teeth, his face ferocious like the savage beast. "Yanji, I have the same grudge. I have the same feelings. I remember clearly how our fathers and uncles died." Qinrong looked at him and sighed. "I told you to destroy Little Land's beautiful face. You didn't listen to me. How cruel would I be to destroy my daughter's beautiful face? I was afraid that she would hate me for the rest of my life." "I couldn't do that," shouted Qin Yan. Listening to him, Qinrong clutched his chest, his face suffered. Qin Yan was bewildered. He reacted quickly and lowered his head. "I'm sorry, Chief. I didn't mean it." Qinrong panted and waved his hand. "No, it's not related to you. You're right. If I can be like you, our little Lan wouldn't be." "Stop it," shouted Qinrong all of a sudden. Qin Yan lowered his head and sighed. "Help! Grandfather! Help me!" Suddenly, a female's voice arose and called for help. Qinrong and Qin Yan discolored and flew toward the source of the call. They came to the scene quickly. It was a lake where the Qin family warriors cultivated. At this moment, 2 young men of the God Clan were trying to abduct a young girl. They wanted to take her to the mountain. That girl couldn't be said really beautiful. She looked so thin and she had only the Disaster Realm cultivation base. She came to the lake to collect spirit fruits. The 2 young men of the God Clan passed by the place and met her. They wanted to abduct her, so they told her that they would offer her a good opportunity. They would take her to the mountain of the Qin family to cultivate. They would teach her the secret techniques of the God Clan that wasn't allowed to be taught to anyone else. From her family and friends, the girl knew the consequences of the women who were taken to the mountain to receive the secret techniques. Of course, she didn't want to go with them. She screamed and cried for help. Chen Yan's eyes reddened when he saw the two young men attempt to do the same deed as Avatar. His flame of anger burst out. He didn't care about Qinrong trying to stop him. He shouted and attacked the other two. With his second sky of ethereal god realm, he immediately urged the wood power. The branches of the ancient trees in the woods immediately wound around the two young men at King God realm and squeezed. Just like the massive pythons, the branches squeezed off the two young men from the god clan. They became pulps of blood and flesh. Blood dripped on the ground. The girl was so scared that she became ashen. Shen Yan had taken action with a big grudge. Qinrong was dumbstruck, his eyes filled with horror. "Oh gosh, we're done," Qinrong cried. He knew Chen Yan's act in his rage would create a big mess. He didn't know how many warriors of the Qin family had to die in Avatar's hands for this. "Chief, I. The young girl sobbed. She was petrified. Qinrong waved his hand weakly. Pondering for a while, he said, "No, it's not your fault. You should leave immediately." He had to think about how to deal with the coming trouble. While they were thinking, they didn't notice that the two pieces of jade on the young men's necks shattered at the same time after they perished. Shortly after, an indignant, wild sound came from the Qin family's Holy Land mountain. Qinrong's face paled. Qin Yan knew what had happened. Putting on a savage face, he shouted, "I'll risk my life with him." Qinrong forced a smile. "You have only second sky of ethereal god realm cultivation base. You're not his opponent. It's too bad this time." "Sir?" Qin Yan was bewildered. "Go all out." Qinrong took a deep breath and said, "I'd rather accept the destructive disaster to my family. We have to fight once. We've endured enough. This time we will have hope. The Qin family and I will die all together. Then you should die together with the Qin family." A good-looking middle-aged god man descended from the sky. His body twinkled, but his eyes were filled with cold and malignant intent. In his eyes, the Qin family was like the low cattle he had. He could kill them or play with them as he pleased. He did it all the time. He was the member of the noble Bradley family, the elite force that led the 12 families of the God Clan. As he couldn't stay in his homeland to enjoy his wealth, but this isolated, rural area, if he couldn't amuse himself here with those low warriors, what should he do to entertain his boring life? Avatar came harshly. The lightning beams crawled on his body. He pulled out 12 massive electrical dragons and connected to his ethereal extent. They all stormed over savagely and attempted to kill Qinrong and Qin Yan. Under the terrifying energy of the 12 electrical dragons, Qinrong and Qin Yan were shaken. They discolored in fear. Although they were all at third sky of the ethereal god realm, Qinrong now realized the difference between him and Avatar. They weren't at the same level regarding energy accumulation. He was so bitter as he knew that even if they were at the same realm, the warriors from the 4 great clans always had an innate advantages. Qinrong felt so dismal. Chapter 1295, A Blood-Reeking Journey. Chapter 1295, A Blood-Reeking Journey, _ Avatar descended from the sky. His 12 electric dragons roared and stormed out, releasing scorching heat that covered Qinrong and Qin Yan. Inside that wild electric current, Qin Yan shivered. He used the wood power Upanishad to pull the ancient trees together and shield himself. Qinrong cultivated wind power Upanishad. He gazed at Avatar, his energy flying out of his eyes. Hundreds of wind blades appeared in the void of Heaven Cloud Star. They came massively like daggers covering the sky that attempted to crush Avatar. Unfortunately, Avatar was wearing the excellent armor of the God Clan. The light rolled torrentially on his armor and created layers of light to stop Qinrong's wind blades. Avatar was the warrior of the Bradley family, so he had many good weapons. Many materials that the Bradley family had robbed from the star areas were used to create many good items that were distributed back to the warriors of the family. Although Avatar had only third sky of ethereal god realm, he had many secret treasures. Qinrong could never be compared to him in this aspect. Avatar's armor had neutralized all the wind blades from Qinrong. The 12 electric dragons swarmed over the trees Qin Yan had grown and exploded them. When the big trees were blown off, Qin Yan spurted out blood. His smoking body was revealed in the middle of the wood pieces. His face paled and his eyes were filled with deep resentment. He said coldly, "Avatar, even if I become a ghost, I won't let you go." Avatar sneered, "Then I will leave you no chance of even becoming a ghost." While he was talking, the wind shield on Qinrong's body exploded. The dragons then slashed his body. Although both of them were at the same realm, Avatar had always had the upper hand. Qinrong was much weaker in any aspect, including the power Upanishad understanding, the god power, and the level of secret treasures. He finally understood why Right had sent only Avatar, a warrior at the same realm as him, to be based on Heaven Cloud Star. Right knew that Avatar could subdue the Qin family by himself. When he recognized this sad fact, he knew that it was too late. The doomsday of the Qin family was going to come soon. "Do you really think that we couldn't find any other slaves to exploit the mine besides your Qin family warriors?" Avatar sneered. "Well, to tell you the truth, our Bradley family is going to invade another star area. We will have a lot of mine slaves then. If you don't behave, you will disappear, just like the Thunder Firmament League. First, I will bathe the Heaven Cloud Star in blood. Then, I will order my troopers to kill all the slaves on the mineral stars." Qinrong's face was filled with desperation. Qin Yan gawked. Now, he recognized that an impulsive action without power would only bring their family a deadly disaster. Unfortunately, there was no solution to this regret. He knew the Qin family was coming to an end now. "Save my brother. Please, hurry. Save my brother." A voice that shouldn't be here came from the sky and expressed its owner's worries. Qinrong was baffled. His face became grimaced as he thundered, "Qinlei, move. Go away." To this sister, he had always regretted. When the family was about to be destroyed, he wasn't happy to hear his sister's voice. He felt so chilled, as if he had just fallen into a dark abyss. "Save my brother, please." Qinlei's voice arose one more time. Then, gold beetle war chariots appeared from the layers of clouds in the sky. "Oh well, good then. I can kill you all. I don't need to order the others." Avatar laughed, his eyes scanning Qinlei's body. He was shocked when he saw Ouyang Luoshuang standing behind Qinlei on the gold beetle war chariot. His eyes became so hot. It was also the last time his eyes became bright. Immediately, Shiyan landed like a sharp sword and thrust it into his head. He thrusted into the man's head. One hand of his stabbed through Avatar's skull, grabbing his brains and urging his devouring power Upanishad. Then, the others could see Avatar's body wither terrifyingly, as if a pump machine was sucking his blood and flesh. Shortly after, he had only a skin bag covering his skeleton. Shiyan retracted his hand and Avatars remained scattered like dust gone with the wind. The warriors of the Qin family on the gold beetle war chariots were frightened. Shivers were sent down their spines. Shiyan licked his lips as if he wasn't satisfied yet. He mumbled, "Oh, turns out it works this way too. I was too afraid that I would be discovered, so I haven't tried all the abilities of devouring power yet." He released his soul consciousness to look around. Throwing a glance at the mountain where the holy land of the Qin family was situated, he grinned. After one step, he disappeared. Ouyang Luoshuang didn't want to go with him, and she didn't even throw a glance at the mountain. He is. Qinrong was bewildered. He sounded terrified. "He's the man on the drawing." Qinlei nodded. At the same time, the painful and horrible screeching arose from the mountain. They then saw that the warriors of the god clan, who they hated to the bone, were trying their best to run away from the mountain. When Qinrong turned around to see, they found a layer of blood covering the entire mountain. They could hear the screeching and screaming from the warriors there, but they couldn't see what was going on there. What's going on?" Qinrong stammered. "Before we came here, we were in the mineral stars. There's no god warrior guarding this place anymore," explained Qinlei. Qinrong and Chen were frightened. After several minutes, Shiyan returned, and he had changed into another black costume. He strolled toward them, shaking his hands that had the dark blood stains. He came to Qinlei and Qinrong and said, "Is there any god warrior left in Heaven Cloud Star?" Qinrong shook his head. Shiyan frowned and said, "Where's the nearest spot that the god clan warriors can gather? How's their scale?" Is there any incipient god realm expert? Yes, there's an incipient god realm expert guarding Heaven Wind Star near here, said Qin Rong hurriedly. Which direction? East. Very well. Shi Yan turned to Ouyang Luo Shuang. Contemplating for a while, he said, my power is recovered sufficiently. You don't need to go with me anymore. If you have stuff to do, you can leave now. I don't know where the sea territory is, Ouyang Luo Shuang said faintly. Have you ever thought about returning to Grace Mainland? Perhaps you don't know, but it's very different now. It can be compared to any high-level life star, Shi Yan said after pondering. Ouyang Luo Shuang was surprised. Her eyebrows twitched, then she said, I will absolutely return. It's my homeland, but not now. My teacher treats me well. I must meet him at least. We have to talk. What do you want to do now? I'm not hurried. Wait until you find the sea territory. You will take me there directly. It saves my energy. Okay, you should come and wait for me on the mineral star. All right. You should go there directly. Shi Yan spread his arms. The starlight appeared in his hands, and he sketched a magical space teleport formation. With his god power, he created a spatial door. The other side of the door was the mineral star of the Qin family. Ouyang Luo Shuang didn't doubt him. She directly walked through the door. Shi Yan felt warm. He turned to Qinlei. I'm not going to return to Heaven Cloud Star, but that mineral star. This door will last for one day. If you want to leave, you should prepare. You can use this door to go to that mineral star. Then, he turned into a starlight beam flying east. His journey as a god of slaughter began from here, and he had terrified the entire Thunder Firmament star area. Who is he? Why did he help us? Qin Rong looked at Qinlei after Shi Yan had left, his face bewildered. I don't know, Qinlei shook her head. Madame Lei made an excellent decision. She stopped us from reporting to Right. She had approached these two and given our Qin family the light of hope. Qin did Xiao appraised, then narrated the story. Right sent the news to the entire Sea of Stars. He asked the forces under his management to find that man. I think he's not an ordinary warrior. Maybe the dismal life of our Qin family is about to over. Qin Rong's eyes brightened. Then, he said, tell the family members to prepare. We will leave this place. We will have a better environment to live. Sure. Cloud Thunder Star and Thunder Firmament Star area was a famous market in the entire star area. The warriors of the forces in the area often came here to trade. They were from different and complicated echelons. Did you hear the news? Haven't you gotten the news? Oh, yeah. A slaughtering god has come here to kill only the God Clan warriors. I heard that many warriors of the God Clan were killed. There's no god warrior in the adjacent areas. 3 incipient god realm experts and several hundred ethereal god realm and original god realm were killed altogether. This man has erased some bases of the Bradley family too. Similar conversations were heard on the streets, in the restaurants, and in many secret chambers on Cloud Thunder Star. Many native forces of Thunder Firmament Star area had heard this big commotion of their star area through their private channels. A young man from the world out there had come and massacred the God Clan warriors who had enslaved them for a long time in Thunder Firmament Star area. They received the news of the God Clan warriors getting killed almost every day and of this god of slaughter. In a secret chamber of Cloud Thunder Star, several elderly warriors were meeting up, their faces grave. This chamber was protected by many layers of barriers that even a fly couldn't escape. They were the representatives of the native forces in Thunder Firmament Star area, the vassals of the God Clan. They were the ones with a good sense of who had been subdued by the Bradley family for so many years. Today, they were meeting up because of a person. What do you think? The oldest warrior of the group asked and didn't look at the others. Old Lei, it's your opinion that matters in this event. That year, you were the deputy hegemon of the Thunder Firmament League. We will listen to you. The others had their eyes brighten. Don't mention that. The Thunder Firmament League is gone. I'm not Lei Bao. I'm Lei Dong now. Guys, you should walk on your path. We know who he is now. He's the new master of the bloodthirsty force, the future overlord that can resist the God Clan. The Bradleys couldn't compare to him. If we get his favor, we will have hope. The old man called Lei Dong had second sky of incipient god realm, and he cultivated lightning power Upanishad. After the Thunder Firmament League was destroyed, He had changed his name and hidden. He discreetly worked and didn't dare to provoke right. We've put up with enough. If we have hope, we will agree to try once more. I agree. Sure thing. Chapter 1296, Human Head Feast. Chapter 1296, Human Head Feast, _. On an isolated dead star, south of Cloud Thunderstar. The gray rocky ground exploded all of a sudden. A sturdy figure appeared, his eyes sparkling with a holy light that was like electricity. Shuryen looked at Cloud Thunderstar and frowned. After he had left Heaven Cloud Star, he had begun his journey of slaughter, killing all the God Clan warriors in his way, including 3 first sky of incipient God Realm experts, hundreds of ethereal God Realm, original God Realm, and King God Realm warriors. Their deaths had made up the energy he had consumed in the fantasy zone, and it was a little bit more than needed. After this time of carefree and cheerful slaughter, he accumulated a deeper knowledge of the Devouring Power Upanishad's abilities. Finally, he knew that the Devouring Power Upanishad took more than the essence chi of the dead warriors. What this power Upanishad swallowed was power. All kinds of power from any kind of creatures. It could take their energy and convert it to the pure energy. Shuryen could take the energy from the body, the stars, the 5 elements, the energies that created the warriors' power Upanishads, and more. While the others were still alive, Shuryen could use the Devouring Power Upanishad all the time. He didn't even need to wait until the others died. Anyway, after the warriors died, their energy slowly reduced. He could take more energy when the others were still alive. The black hole was another application of the Devouring Power Upanishad that swallowed the souls. It was specialized in taking in the soul altar to create soul energy and refine the soul altar. It could help transform the soul altar and develop it until it reached a marvelous level. Perhaps it had the similar effect as the way Imperial Dark Tribe used to train their soul altars. But Shuryen thought it was more excellent. Shuryen had been wild and crazy on his slaughtering journey in Thunder Firmament Star area, and it had helped him discover the real abilities of the Devouring Power Upanishad. However, he hadn't reached 2nd sky of incipient God Realm yet. He still needed more energy to grow his God Power Ancient Tree. He needed more energy indeed. The energy converted from 3 incipient God Realm experts, hundreds of ethereal God Realm, original God Realm, and King God Realm experts refilled his exhausted energy, but wasn't enough to break to 2nd sky of incipient God Realm. In this journey, he found that the native forces in Thunder Firmament Star area had always cooperated with him just like the Qin family. They had pointed out the gathering spot of the God Clan warriors and gave him the details of their realms and numbers. Shuryen got the necessary information to prepare every time. After this experience, Shuryen recognized that people hated the Bradley family a lot in Thunder Firmament Star area. Although they were subdued, they didn't want to follow them. As soon as they found the chance to attack the God Clan, they became even more excited than Shuryen. And it was because of their cooperative attitude that Shuryen could carry out his plan smoothly. Today, he headed to Thunder Firmament Lake. He was ready to take Right's head to break through to 2nd sky of incipient God Realm. However, he wasn't so sure that it would be easy today when he came to Thunder Firmament Lake. Thus, he didn't dare to act rashly. He decided to stop by Cloud Thunderstar first to check the situation. As soon as his thought flickered, he landed on Cloud Thunderstar. Shortly after, he appeared in the center of the Thunder City. He closed his eyes to let his soul consciousness check the place. No God Clan warrior was found. Cloud Thunderstar also had the God Clan warriors base here, but Right had asked them to come back because of Shuryen's mad slaughter. It was also the reason why Shuryen had to change his thought. He had to go to the headquarters of the God Clan in Thunder Firmament Star area, Thunder Firmament Lake. Many warriors from different planets around Thunder Firmament Star area often came to Thunder City. The shops in the city were always packed. Shuryen concentrated on listening. He found that most of the conversations here were about him. They called him by various names including God of Slaughter, Slaughtering Star, and the Butcher who slashes the God Clan. When they talked about him, they looked happy and joyful. They didn't even want to conceal their amusement taken from the God Clan's misfortune. Shuryen nodded discreetly. Walking along this street, he knew that Wright of the Bradley family had done many evil affairs in this star area. He made people hate that they couldn't plow his ancestors' graves. Wright could live indulgently in the star area because of the God Clan's reputation. Otherwise, he would have been killed a long time ago. Shiryen knew that because he knew that Thunder Firmament star area also had third sky of incipient God realm experts from the conversations of the people on the streets. However, those experts weren't in Thunder Firmament star area because they were afraid of the God Clan. Inside Thunder City, people moved back and forth like water currents. They were talking about Shiryen on the streets, in the shops, and even in the restaurants. He pondered for a while, smiling and sitting on a random spot in the big square of the Thunder City. As soon as his thoughts flickered, the items stored in his incipient extent flew out and arranged above his head. Shortly after, screaming and shrieking arose on the square. Many warriors around the square looked at him. They were so excited. The human heads floating above his head were from the God Clan warriors, and many of them were infamous in Thunder Firmament star area as the leaders guarding some important regions. People hated them a lot, though. This was especially the case for the three heads of the three incipient God realm experts. The warriors here had met them before. Seeing their heads floating in the sky, the majority of warriors on the streets and in the shops cheered crazily as if they were celebrating the new year. Instantly, the city was boiling. The warriors in Thunder City came when they heard the cheering. They stopped their works and gathered at the square. From a bird's view, they were packing the square like a cloud of grasshoppers. With Shiryen as the center, the warriors from different clans circled him in layers. They pointed at Shiryen and shrieked. They looked so happy and satisfied. Hundreds of god warriors' heads floated above Shiryen's head. The warriors gathering in the square felt like they had a refreshing stream running through their hearts that washed away the resentment that had tortured them for so many years. When they saw the heads, they knew they were liberated. Many senior people and women began to cry and sob. It seemed like they couldn't control their joy as they cried when their enemies were killed and their grudges were clear. The great chaos in Thunder City had affected the meeting in the secret chamber. Lei Dong squinted and listened to his subordinate's report. His eyes brightened. He abruptly stood up and said, "He came. He shows off the heads of the God Clan warriors to prove his identity. He comes to Cloud Thunderstar and Thunder City to find us." "Old Lei, what should we do now?" asked the others. "If he has considered us, we shouldn't be cowards anymore." "All right, I will send the Soul Consciousness to invite him here to talk," said Lei Dong. Everybody nodded in agreement. Lei Dong closed his eyes and released his soul consciousness towards Shiryen. Staying inside the circles of dozens of thousands of warriors on Thunder Firmament star area, Shiryen just stooped and said nothing. He was waiting for the invitation from the rebellious group who dared to stand against the God Clan. The heads of the God Clan warriors here were Shiryen's gift to them to show his goodwill. Indeed, a magical light flashed then disappeared into his eyes. At the same time, the heads of the God Clan experts floating in the sky exploded, turning into dust and scattering around Thunder City. The crowd of warriors of Thunder Firmament star area cheered happily like they were celebrating the new year. They threw their hands into the air, hugging and congratulating each other. In the secret chamber of Thunder City, Shiryen appeared all of a sudden, sitting next to Lei Dong. He squinted and asked, "Did you call me?" Lei Dong was startled. He jolted up and said respectfully, "Lei Dong welcomed the master of the bloodthirsty force." The others were still sitting, so they were baffled to see Lei Dong greeting the guest. They immediately followed him and stood up to greet Shiryen as Lei Dong had done. "Welcome, master of the bloodthirsty force." Shiryen rose his arms, his face casual. "No need to be too serious. Please sit down." Everybody then sat down. "You're Lei Bao, right? I used to hear about you. You were the deputy hegemon of Thunder Firmament League. Because the League was destroyed, you don't have the power to resist against the God Clan. Then, you've begun to seclude. Is it true?" Shiryen talked calmly. Lei Dong nodded and said, "I'm called Lei Dong now." "I didn't expect that you have heard about me, sir." "It's my honor." "Right, it doesn't matter with the name as long as you don't forget your past." Shiryen curled his lips and asked, "You called me here not to tell me that you've changed your name, right? Okay, tell me, what do you think?" Sir, you came Cloud Thunderstar to find me. I wonder what you want me to do. As long as I can do it, I will do my best. I just hope you would agree with me on one thing. Lei Dong looked at Shiryen deeply. Agree with me to expel all the God Clan warriors from our Thunder Firmament Star area. As long as you agree with that, I can die for you. Old Lei. Old Lei. Old Lei. The others discolored as they couldn't believe it. Lei Dong waved his hand and said, For the future of Thunder Firmament Star area, I can pay with everything. It's not that I'm afraid of death, I just want a brighter future for Thunder Firmament Star area. Today, if Master agrees with me, our Thunder Firmament Star area will have that future. My life is in your hand. Hearing him, the other leaders of the forces who were still hesitant felt their hearts stimulate. They were so touched and their eyes became more resolute. Shiryen was surprised. He looked at Lei Dong, nodded, and then said, I agree with you. Before Shiryen came here, he didn't think that Lei Dong would be that resolute because he thought that an old man who had to live and seclude to hide himself from the God Clan was like a cunning rat and wouldn't dare to stand up against the God Clan. Shiryen knew that he was wrong. Looking at Lei Dong's fierce reaction, he was surprised and touched. What do you want me to do? Please do tell. If this Lei Dong can help you, I will do my best. Even if I have to die, I will make everything all right for you, said Lei Dong resolutely. I don't need you to die. What I want is simple. I want to know what kind of experts are staying in Thunder Firmament Lake. Have they sent any new expert there or not? Explained Shiryen. Oh, simple. They've just sent 2-second sky of incipient God Realm experts. However, the sea territory of our Thunder Firmament Star area has encountered some problem. After those two arrived, the sea territory has become turbulent and the passages became ineffective at the same time. I think there are no God Clan warriors who will come later. Right got a headache because of this. I heard that another incipient God Realm warrior wanted to come, but he was stopped outside, Lei Dong said, his face puzzled. Shiryen's eyes brightened up as he laughed. He knew someone had his back and erased the rising obstacles. Chapter 1297, Rush to the Tigers Denver. Chapter 1297, Rush to the Tigers Denver _ Carefree was gazing at a space passage in one of the 7 sea territories of the ancient God Star area, his face dark and sinister. Elders Fengju and Spark stood by him and lowered their heads, their visages begrudging. Carefree looked at the space passage leading to Thunder Firmament Star area. Until now, the Bradley family of the God Clan usually used that passage to get to Thunder Firmament Star area to transport the huge amount of precious materials exploited there. This passage was the door connecting to Thunder Firmament Star area. After DeCarlos had told Carefree where he had delivered Shiryen, Carefree immediately contacted the Elder Committee and told them Shiryen's whereabouts. The Elder Committee immediately sent 2-second sky of incipient God Realm experts to Thunder Firmament Star area to stabilize the situation first and stay there to wait for Carefree. However, when Carefree came, he found that the space passage was closed. He couldn't enter Thunder Firmament Star area. Not only that, Carefree found that all the teleport formations that led to Thunder Firmament Star area were deactivated. The doors leading to Thunder Firmament Star area were all sealed, and they couldn't open no matter how hard they tried. Carefree understood clearly that not many experts could do such a thing in this big universe. Not many experts could seal an entire star area. DeCarlos. Carefree looked at the dark and deep space passage and hissed, his eyes filled with the flame of anger. A man holding a flaming red wine bottle descended from the sky. He didn't mind his manners and took a swig. Drops of transparent wine stuck on his beards. Carefree, DeCarlos has outwitted you. He has plotted against you when he told you the kids' whereabouts. That man was the Heavenly King Light. Carefree threw him a glance and said, although you and I don't cultivate space power Upanishad, we can tear the seal in Thunder Firmament Star area when we join hands. Heavenly King Light shook his head and waved his hands. Nah, not good. If we fail, the chaotic space current will swallow Thunder Firmament Star area. All creatures living there will perish instantly. Oh well, since when did you mind others' lives like that? Carefree squinted. Of course, you won't mind. Heavenly King Light snorted. The Bradley family warriors are in Thunder Firmament star area. As I'm a member of the Bradley family, I will not let my later generations fall into destruction because of my deeds. My family isn't as big as the others. If we lose one, our number will reduce by one. It's not worth sacrificing many warriors of my family because of your disciple. Perhaps that kid is slaughtering your Bradley family warriors in Thunder Firmament star area. When Thunder Firmament star area opens one more time, I'm afraid that the warriors of your family will all be killed, sneered Carefree. He is just first sky of incipient God realm cultivation base. Currently, Thunder Firmament star area has 3 second sky of incipient God realm experts from our Bradley family and more than 1,000 warriors from the elite force. I don't think he can dance happily there. Heavenly King Light Grin turned to a big smile. Carefree, you should worry about your disciple then. You've underestimated him. This young man is the successor of that man. You will regret because of your impulsive assumption, hissed Carefree. Heavenly King Light burst out laughing. He has the devouring power Upanishad, not that power. Why do we need to be afraid of him? If he has that power, let alone breaking the barrier around Thunder Firmament star area, even if we have to break several star areas to kill him, it will be worth it. But now, it isn't worth it to take it seriously. I said you will regret it. Wait and see, Carefree shook his head, his face looked cold, but he didn't say anything else. Heavenly King Light didn't keep it in his mind. Don't talk about him. It's a really long time since we last met. Today, as we finally unite in the ancestral land, if we aren't drunk yet, we won't go home. Then, he pulled Carefree away and didn't even care about Elder Fengju and Spark. They stepped on the void and slowly disappeared. Thunder Firmament star area had a strange land that was the intersection of several outer space rivers. This place was Thunder Firmament Lake, where there were a cold iceberg and the earth and heaven energy was thickest. The special lightning generated here was really helpful to the warriors with the respective power Upanishads. The Thunder Firmament Lake was a real holy land, though. Right cultivated lightning power Upanishad. His palace was situated right above the meteorite with the heavenly lake. His palace was so imposing and luxurious with many mysterious murals of the God clan. They built this palace with countless jades and divine crystals. From a distance, the palace sparkled with rainbow light and showed its beautiful and precious value. The mysterious heavenly lake was in the middle of many palaces. Right now, Wright and 2 other god experts were soaking in the lake and relaxing. Hundreds of women from different races with various kinds of beauty like sexiness, innocence, purity, or maturity were wearing flimsy clothes and a bell on their collars to show their wonderful features surrounded the 3 experts in the lake. They were trying to attract them and earn their favors. The women held fruits and wine trays. They served the other 3 carefully. The God Clan warriors stood on the watching tower by the heavenly lake, their faces stern as they tried their best to protect the place. Low maid, you're not pure. You humiliate me. Wright looked at a ghost-mark woman, bellowing with a savage face. The snow-white body of the ghost-mark woman was decorated with delicate purple drawings that made her mysteriously beautiful. Wright was interested in her purple tattooed body, so he had abducted her here. Today, he didn't have a good mood, so those tattoos were like a thorn in his eyes. He wanted to trouble her just to vent out his anger. Master, before I came here, I'd washed my body thrice. I was born with purple tattoos. Please don't be angry. The ghost-mark woman was so scared. She kneeled down and begged pathetically. You dare to talk back to me? You don't want to live anymore? Wright thundered and spurted out a lightning ball that covered the woman. At that moment, her beautiful body was reduced to ashes, and the lightning also buried her soul. The pretty maids nearby felt shivers sent down their spines. They were so frightened. They acted more carefully as they were afraid that Wright would kill them for no reason like that. Recently, dozens of people were killed in Wright's hands. People were slaughtered almost every day. The maids here had to live in fear. The other 2 experts just grinned and watched Wright killing people. In their eyes, besides the members of their clan, the other warriors from the other races were just low people. They acted like when people didn't care about whether insects could survive or not. It was their naturally arrogant characteristic that was rooted in their values for a long time. Hey bro, You got bad news again? Cook was eating a bunch of some kind of sparkling fruits. That new master of the bloodthirsty force is just a puppet they made stand up that the three chiefs could control easily. What are you worried about? Jeremy asked surprisedly. I just got the news. He came to Cloud Thunderstar. He had stacked my subordinates' heads in Thunder City. It's a naked provocation that I can't stand, said Wright indignantly. Cook was amazed. He shook his head. The bloodthirsty force's master of this generation is impulsive. But it's no use to do that. Will the warriors in Thunder Firmament Star area stand against us now? His eyes became cold as he sneered. Well, they haven't been scared enough to see their own kinds getting killed throughout these years. Recently, my family has just taken down a new star area. Although it doesn't have any significant natural resources, it has a lot of warriors that we can use. If the experts of Thunder Firmament Star area dare to resist against us, we can obliterate them one more time. After that, I think they will be content to their lot, said Jeremy. I just want to find that kid and kill him now. Wright grunted. It's not easy to look for a person in a vast star area like this. We're not those old monsters that could use their soul consciousness to check the entire star area. Cook shook his head. Oh, don't you think it's strange? After we've arrived here, the space passage closed. Heavenly King should have been here already, but he hadn't shown up yet. I think it's because of the strange condition of the space passage. The three continued to talk and drink in the lake. However, the cunning Wright was still outraged. All of a sudden, narrow light appeared in the mysterious void above their heads. That light flashed and sent the turbulent spatial energy. Wright, Cook, and Jeremy lifted their heads to look at that streak of light in the sky, their faces becoming grave. They swayed and flew out of the lake. Right after that, 3 sets of exquisite armor appeared on their bodies and lingered perfectly to show their extraordinary, powerful features. Who's that? Shouted Wright. The streak of light twisted and changed. It widened and became a crack. Some people walked out of the crack and appeared above Wright's head. Wright grinned. Lei Dong, Ji Feng, Harmon. You don't want to live anymore? You dare to intrude my place without permission. Lei Dong, Ji Feng, and Harmon were the leaders who Shi Yan had met at the secret underground chamber underground in Thunder City. Lei Dong nodded and smiled, his eyes steadfast. Oh yeah, we don't want to live anymore. We're here today to risk our lives. He turned around to see Shi Yan. He asked, Sir, the information I gave you isn't wrong, is it? Shi Yan gave him a slight nod. He didn't expect Lei Dong, Ji Feng, and Harmon to come here, but they were so persistent. In this group of 3, only Lei Dong had second sky of incipient God realm, which was enough to play with the others once. Ji Feng and Herman had only first sky of incipient God realm, so their presence here could only bring a limited effect. However, they came with a fixation that Shi Yan didn't understand. Before they came here, they had even arranged for their deaths. Evidently, they had prepared for the worst situation. Sir? Wright was surprised. Then, he burst out laughing like crazy. You're that kid, right? Haha, it's good then. I've been searching for you for a long time. I didn't expect that you would turn yourself in like this. Cook and Jeremy wore cold faces, their lines of sight shifting from Lei Dong, Ji Feng, and Harmon to Shi Yan. From now on, Thunder Firmament Star area will have a new master. I will use the death of you 3 to exchange for a new life to this star area. Shi Yan looked at them and said indifferently. Chapter 1298, 1 versus 2. Chapter 1298, 1 versus 2, _ Thunder Firmament Star area will change its master? Wahahaha. You think you're Xian He or Ming Hao? You think you're the real master of bloodthirsty force? Wright grinned and opened his arms. Lightning beams appeared in his palms and became a lightning python that was thousands of meters long. It attacked Shi Yan grumblingly. Sir, allow me. Lei Dong lowered his voice, shouting and stepping forward. His sleeves shivered. Thousands of silver balls rolled out and brought earth-shaking lightning power to encounter the electric python. When they collided, lightning bolts shot out everywhere. The grumbling thunder shook the entire sky as if the sky was about to fall. Lei Dong used to be the deputy hegemon of Thunder Firmament League. He also cultivated lightning and thunder power at the same realm as Right. He had to change his name and live in seclusion, but it wasn't because of Right. It was because he was afraid of the Bradley family and the god clan behind Right that could utterly destroy Thunder Firmament League and Thunder Firmament Star Area. Today, as he got Shi Yan's promise, he had finally erased his fear and worries. Finally, he dared to stand up and yell his real name. Right, I'm telling you. I'm the Lei you've wanted to find. Oh, turns out you're that fish. Right grinned after the time of being baffled. It's very good indeed. As long as you die, Thunder Firmament League will have no spark anymore and this Thunder Firmament Star Area will quiet down. I will set you off. Jifeng and Harmon made up their mind upon hearing Right. They wanted to attack him immediately. Your opponents are the people over there. Shi Yan walked and stood in front of them, pointing at the guards of the god clan on the watching tower. Jifeng and Harmon were so surprised. They were ready to die and to fight Right and the 2-second sky of incipient god realm experts. They had prepared to die for Shi Yan. They could pay with their soul altars exploding to help Shi Yan damage Right's team. At the critical time, Shi Yan had baffled them by saying that. It's enough as you have the will to do that. Shi Yan smiled, patted their shoulders, and strode toward Cook and Jeremy. He touched his glabella. 2 blood lights shot out from his incipient extent and turned into a sword and a shield. Both of them were as red as blood. The eyes on the bloody sword opened and looked at Cook and Jeremy. At that moment, Cook and Jeremy were covered in an endless blood sea. They seemed to see piles of skeletons that had fixed their souls and shaken them hard. It was the evil that had attacked the deep place in their souls. Although Cook and Jeremy were at second sky of incipient god realm, their minds were shaken instantly. They felt their blood burned by the fiery flame. Their calm and cold faces were gone. Cut the confused mind. Cook's pupils turned dark blue immediately as he hissed. Right after that, a cold light came from the sky and cut off the evil thought in his heart. He immediately regained his calmness. A cold, sharp peak appeared at his glabella and extended unceasingly. It turned into a crystal-clear ice mountain that was 10,000 meters tall and 100 of mu wide. The cold light emitted from the mountain with the power of ice. It spun and released countless light beams that bombarded Shi Yan. Cook regained his consciousness. Jeremy was awakened up by the cold air. A burning flame mark appeared on his forehead and began to release the terrifying heat. Shortly after, Jeremy was covered in that flame. He turned into a burning flame with a powerful heat. Strangely and magically, his heat was matched with Cook's ice, and it gave Shi Yan more pressure. Ice and fire purgatory. Cook and Jeremy bellowed. The cold peak suddenly flew up and was placed above the fire. They created a layer of cold and heat energy, flashing and taking turns to appear. It felt like the purgatory with endless torment. Jifeng and Harmon weren't far from Shi Yan. The shockwaves of the cold and scorching energies had taken turns to attack them. Their faces turned red and pale alternatively as their bodies felt so chilled and boiled at the same time. Their god power became chaotic and their soul altars were extremely unstable. Cook and Jeremy had joined hands and used a special method to fuse the extremely cold and hot power Upanishads. Their combined attack could affect the others' god power and soul altars. It immediately subdued the others and made them not able to use their real powers. Jifeng and Harmon were at first sky of incipient god realm. Under the joint attack of the 2-second sky of incipient god realm, they were helter-skelter, so they had to retreat, their faces fearful. Now, they finally recognized the difference between their realms. It was like an abyss that they could hardly cross. It made them feel helpless. They were shaken when they remembered that they weren't Cook and Jeremy's target. They had just been affected. They then looked at Shi Yan, the real target of the other two. Jifeng and Harmon were bewildered. Under their gaze, Shi Yan stood still like a 10,000-year-old rock. He stood imposingly under the bombarding cold light. The icy lights shot rapidly at him like a shower of arrows. However, he had a shield to block them. Magically, those ice lights weren't shattered. They melted into a cloud blood mark in the middle of the shield. Shi Yan seemed to not be affected by the extremely cold and hot ice and fire purgatory. With the bloody sword in his hand, he quickly turned into his immortal demon body, the fighting mode of the immortal demon warriors. The energy fluctuations on his body increased massively. Jifeng and Harmon found that Shiyan's energy had surpassed theirs and wasn't less than Cook and Jeremy's. See, he's the new master of the bloodthirsty force. He's not someone we can foresee. Jifeng complimented and then said to Harmon, "We should listen to his suggestion and help him clear those people there. Just let him handle that tough trunk." "I think so," Harmon nodded. They immediately changed their targets. They scattered and attacked the God Clan guards. For the time being, Thunder Firmament Lake was so chaotic. The beauties with the dog collars had to run away and try to find the exit to escape. The battle taking place in Thunder Firmament Lake wasn't something that they could stand. Only a shockwave was enough to burn them into ashes instantly. The two cold and hot energies attacked Shiyan like waves in the sea and hit his body brutally. Shiyan stood still. In the space crack, he had known the real power of the bloody sword and the bloody shield through the ring spirit. Since then, his competence increased one level. After the recent slaughter, Shiyan got used to using the sword and the shield. With the marvelous abilities of his 3 power Upanishads and different explosive energies, he dared to challenge the 3 incipient God Realm experts. He was confident that he could kill them all. "Today, I'll borrow your energy to reach a new height." Shiyan's eyes became as red as blood. His thoughts flickered and the bloody shield had turned into many clusters of blood clouds, fusing perfectly with his immortal demon body. The immortal demon blood in his body boiled as it was activated altogether. Instantly, Shiyan got endless power. Touching his forehead, a brilliant band of starlight moved out of his glabella. The others could see the blood light moving inside that magnificent starlight band. It looked like a star river now had the blood veins like a human body, which was extremely strange indeed. The star river flew out and aimed at Cook and Jeremy. However, it slowly disappeared in midair and Cook and Jeremy couldn't locate it with their soul consciousness. Abruptly, it became clear. This time, when it emerged, the starlight band thrust into the ice peak that Cook had created like a sharp knife. It came with the sharpness of space power Upanishad. Crack! 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 The gigantic ice peak shattered and broke into millions of ice pieces at different sizes after the sharp star river struck it. The pieces then disappeared into Cook's body. How can you have such terrifying power? The armor on Cook's undying god body cracked and broke. He had many cuts on his body as if many pairs of scissors had just cut him. "Well, without such power, how could I dare to challenge the 3 of you?" Shiyan grinned fiendishly and turned into a meteor light that fell on Jeremy's fire. "Don't you know that I'm fused with the ancient continent origin? Why do you dare to play with fire in front of me?" Shiyan opened his mouth to spray different colored flames. They hovered like lanterns around him. As soon as flames emerged, the distinctive auras of the heaven flames diffused while Jeremy's flame shrank rapidly. It was like a low-level creature that instinctively avoided the high-level creature. Ice and fire fusion. Cook and Jeremy changed their countenances. After exchanging looks, they shouted in unison. The ice pieces Cook had taken in were shelled out of his body like cannonballs falling into Jeremy's fireball. Although it had received the ice, the fire wasn't extinguished. Quite the contrary, an unknown power was generated with the terrifying, turbulent energy fluctuations. After Cook and Jeremy had performed this joint power Upanishad, they looked restless and anxious as if they were afraid of some sudden trouble. Apparently, they hadn't mastered this collective power Upanishad yet. If they weren't in a reluctant situation, they wouldn't have used it. The fireball ballooned after receiving the ice pieces. It looked like a big hot air balloon that was about to explode. The energy fluctuations from the fireball were so formidable. It was like an entire life star that was about to explode. Shiyan changed his visage for the first time and gave his compliments. "Ice and fire aren't supposed to be together. You're really talented that you can make it to this level. However, it's not perfect. The fusion happened too slowly and you guys aren't strong enough to control it." Shiyan urged his soul altar and charged the power Upanishad. His starlight band now magically turned into a space crack that affected the ballooning fireball. Suddenly, a space energy that didn't belong to Shuryen strangely came over and changed his star river. A space passage appeared inside Shuryen's starlight band with a suction force that cooperated well with Shuryen's thought. The fireball that could explode at any minute was pulled into the star river, and it teleported to an unknown area. Cook and Jeremy immediately lost the connection with the fireball. Half of the god power in their bodies was used. They discolored, and their faces looked like the color of the earth as they were so frightened. It was clear that they had more bad luck than good luck this time. Chapter 1299. One is enough. Chapter 1299. One is enough. Cook and Jeremy had their soul altars become weak because of the tremendous amount of god power that was used. The attack they had squeezed their power to create was dragged into the void and then disappeared. It had struck them hard indeed. They retracted their hands, their eyes sparkling. They had a new idea. They were both members of the Bradley family with a noble status. They were here to help Wright stabilize the situation. Right now, when things went wrong, they decided to ditch Wright and leave this perilous land. Their eyes flashed lights when they exchanged looks and glanced at Wright. Wright and Lei Dong cultivated lightning and thunder power Upanishad, but his body strength, energy, and innate talents were much more powerful because of the god clan's gifted advantages. Wright was using the undying god body to fight the enemy. He released the supernatural abilities of the thunder and lightning power Upanishad that were obviously one level stronger than Lei Dong. Even though they were both at second sky of incipient god realm, Lei Dong was in a dangerous situation. His lightning attacks turned to attack himself. The electric python was winding around him. When Cook and Jeremy saw Wright get the upper hand, they decided quickly. Cook said all of a sudden, "Wright, this kid is tough. Come here and fight with him. We'll help you deal with that one." Cook and Jeremy wanted to swap opponents with Wright. They wanted to throw the burning thing from Shuryen to Wright. Wright was surprised. He turned around, his face dark. "You two join hands, but you can't beat him? Don't you understand the order from the family?" He thought that Cook and Jeremy hadn't tried their best. Cook and Jeremy forced smiles. They turned into a flaming beam and an icy beam that flew toward Wright. Strangely, Shuryen didn't stop them. He stood by the heavenly lake. A magical light shot out from his pupils as he was gawking at the space slit that was slowly closing. He knew someone had helped him discreetly. That person had affected the spacelet that Shuryen created to guide the ice and fireball of Cook and Jeremy to another space. That person must be the dangerous expert that had brought Shuryen here and sealed Thunder Firmament Star Area. Shuryen didn't know what that person wanted. Seeing Cook and Jeremy sneak away, he released his soul consciousness to send a message. "Precursor? What do you mean?" He knew that Precursor should be around. Unfortunately, that one didn't answer him. The space slit he created closed. The space became smooth again. Inside the chaotic space basin, DeCarlos was making some magical hand seals by the place where the beams of light were congregating. The hand seal he created expanded rapidly. The massive light ball created by Cook's and Jeremy's fire and ice power was compressed. Shortly after, the big light ball was shrunk into a fist-sized crystal with the fire and ice energy moving inside. It looked marvelous indeed. Formidable energy. It's a waste if I let it explode. DeCarlos grabbed the crystal and smiled contentedly. A space saber appeared in his eyes when he tore a spacelet and looked in Shuryen's direction. "You have the devouring power Upanishad. You're in need of energy. I won't give you this thing." He threw the ball away. The crystal maneuvered, moved through spaces, and fell on an area. A small island in the endless sea, Grace Mainland. Xiao Xinyan's beautiful figure was sitting on a rock by the sea. Looking at the deep blue water, her beautiful eyes yearned. The images in her head changed continuously like the river of time moving fast from the past. The memories and the scenes between her and Shuryen in more than 200 years were rewinding in her head. She seemed to control a sharp weapon that could move through time. Her soul could visit different times or even go to the past. A crystal suddenly fell from the sky and landed on her hair bun. Then, like a drop of water, it quietly seeped into her head. She shivered and couldn't help but look at the sky. Her beautiful eyes were filled with inexplicable surprise. A flow of pure energy shot out from her energy. Quickly, her realm changed. Inside the chaotic space basin, DeCarlo's line of sight could get through layers of spaces to look at her, his eyes complicated. He mumbled to himself, space. Time. At the same time, he heard the message from Shiryen. However, he just chuckled and didn't answer. Thunder Firmament Star Area. Shiryen cut off the hope in his mind, his face resuming the usual coldness. He looked at Cook, Jeremy, and Wright, grinning fiendishly. He didn't worry that Cook and Jeremy could escape. Today, Thunder Firmament Star Area was sealed like a locked steel cage. No one could get in or out. Under such a circumstance, who could avoid Shiryen's attack? He was an expert with the space power Upanishad, though. Sir, please remember your promise. Lei Dong shouted. His soul altar was fierce like an erupting volcano. The god power in his body moved rapidly. Jifeng and Harmon discolored and shouted, "No." Shiryen was shaken. He took action immediately. He moved swiftly through the distance and appeared directly behind Lei Dong. You've done so much for Thunder Firmament Star Area. I don't need your sacrifice to kill them. He rose his hand and placed it on Lei Dong's back. The turbulent energy fluctuations on Lei Dong's body calmed down. Sir, Lei Dong hissed. Help me destroy those people here. Only I am enough to send Wright and the other two to heaven. Shiryen grinned and swung the bloody sword in his hand. A blood rainbow shot across the starry sky. Shiryen disappeared into that bloody rainbow. Old Lei, let him deal with them. He can do that. Jifeng screamed. Harmon also told him, a decent death isn't as good as continuing to live. You don't need to sacrifice your life. You've been sacrificed a lot for Thunder Firmament Star Area. Lei Dong was baffled. He looked at the blood shadow, his eyes complex. Pondering for a while, he nodded and lowered his voice. Then my life will be saved for Thunder Firmament Star Area and you. He turned around and his face became resolute as he began to attack the God Clan warriors together with Harmon and Jifeng. The warriors of the God Clan were Wright's troops. They didn't have the power to resist the other three. The God warriors' bodies exploded and their souls flew out like mist. However, they didn't know that the deaths of those low-realm warriors were the best support for Shiryen. Shiryen had quietly absorbed the energy of those dead warriors and pulled it into the blood rainbow to create the Blood Soul Sea. The different negative emotions, including fear, despair, brutality, and resentment, rose torrentially in the Blood Soul Sea to intensify the evil of the sea. Shiryen enjoyed taking in the energy in there. Staying inside the Blood Sea, he had used the death power Upanishad smoothly. The Blood Sea then became streams or ribbons extending toward Wright, Cook, and Jeremy. The three of them felt like they were sinking in a muddy puddle, and the blood streams had restrained them, which even made their soul altars sluggish. They couldn't use many of their supernatural abilities. While they hadn't recognized it, Shiryen's Blood Soul Sea had affected their souls. Thunder cracks the sky. Wright roared savagely. The lightning serpents flew out of his hands, screaming and attacking the Blood Sea. They wanted to break it apart. Cook and Jeremy urged their god power. The flame and the ice mountain grew in their incipient extent as they joined Wright with the attempt of crushing Shiryen's bloody world and killing him. Too bad for them, Shiryen was performing his best powers and he had taken in the energy from many dead warriors. He was in his best condition now, and the power he could use surpassed Wright and the other two by far. The Blood Soul Sea was like a bloody malignant tumor wiggling. After it had covered the three experts, its energy continued to increase. The negative energy rose unceasingly. It was so terrifying as it could directly adhere to their soul altars. Space enlarges greatly. Shiryen bellowed in the Blood Sea. The Blood Sea then exploded like shattered glass and turned into countless brilliant blood lights. Wright and the other two were shrouded by the Blood Sea. Their bodies exploded and their bones cracked. Inside the Blood Sea, Shiryen grinned. He seemed to have so many clones staying in different pieces of blood crystals. It looked like there were so many different mirrors by Cook, Wright, and Jeremy that Shiryen could move freely between them. It was a marvelous ability of space power Upanishad. It was the space reflection that he had learned in the fantasy zone. Many Shuryen changed their locations and swarmed towards Right like a cloud of locusts. Those illusions had life energy fluctuations, so they weren't just illusions. Their energy fluctuations were created by dread, despair, resentment, fear, and brutal emotions that could erode the soul and seep into the three's bodies. Right was wounded. Staying between the shattered pieces of blood, his face was inexplicably baffled. This expression of his was the last image of him in this world. The three of them could never move again. Their soul altars fell so they couldn't control their bodies anymore. Shuryen's illusions created by negative energy faded and disappeared into the three of them. Quickly, their sturdy bodies withered at a speed that naked eyes could see, as if someone was using a pump to take out their blood, flesh, and energy. Eventually, they had no beam of life energy. After a blow of the wind, they scattered like dust and completely vanished. Their soul altars disappeared altogether. Right after that, many Shuryens that disappeared now reappeared and congregated, fusing with each other. Eventually, there was only one left. This Shuryen squinted and licked his red lips like a beast had just feasted sufficiently and grinned in satisfaction. He knew that the result of this battle would determine the general picture of Thunder Firmament Star Area. And as for Shuryen, he would break through to second sky of incipient God realm. He had achieved one more step and shortened the distance from the immortal realm. Lei Dong's group was still chasing after the running God clan warriors. After one of them was killed, the essence chi from them became a beam of bloodlight that joined Shuryen's body and increased his power. Until this moment, Shuryen had slowly understood deep knowledge and marvelous abilities of the devouring power Upanishad. Chapter 1300, Gambling. Chapter 1300, Gambling, _ The stars were twinkling in a starlight band in south of ancient God's star area. There was one bright star among them that was the exclusive life star of the Bradley family. Many mountains were surrounding a mysterious valley. One of those mountains had gold balls that were like twinkling stars hung on the flank. The flames of life were dancing inside those balls. Those balls were called life beads, which connected to the souls and the lives of the Bradley family's important experts. Wherever they were, if they died, their own life bead would extinguish. Each of the balls here had a small name tag that read the name of its owner. The flames inside the three life beads flickered and then extinguished. An old man with layers of dust on his body was a watchman of this place. He became frightened, flashed, and then disappeared. He reappeared in a secret chamber where only one quiet man sat. This man was the current chief of the Bradley, Byers. Byers was disturbed when he was cultivating to break the current realm and enter the immortal realm. "What happened?" asked Byers in a low-pitched voice. "Wright's, Cook's, and Jeremy's life beads are off. I'm afraid something bad has happened in Thunder Firmament Star Area." The old man stooped and answered. Byers' visage changed. A gleam of pain flashed in his eyes. He kept silent for a long time. "Wright is my cousin. He didn't want to go to Thunder Firmament Star Area that year because he knew that it was a poor place. If I hadn't forced him to go there, he wouldn't have been persistent." "Chief, please restrain your grief." The old man sighed slightly. "They wouldn't die in vain." Byers took a deep breath. His face turned malignant as he swung his arm. "Report to the Elder Committee." "I'm on it." Shortly after, the God Clan's Elder Committee received the news of Wright's, Cook's, and Jeremy's deaths. They knew that they'd lost Thunder Firmament Star Area too. It was no longer the God Clan's territory. The God Clan's forces based around there were frightened. The Heavenly King Carefree and Light also knew the news. On the god Zenith, Carefree wore a mocking face. He put the glass of wine on the jade table as he said, "Well, if you had listened to me and joined hands to tear the barrier of Thunder Firmament Star Area, they would have been all right." Earlier, Carefree had asked Heavenly King Light to join him to break the seal that DeCarlos had put on Thunder Firmament Star Area, but Light had denied him. At that time, Heavenly King Light was confident that Wright, Cook, and Jeremy could keep Thunder Firmament Star Area safe. They wouldn't let Shuryen take any advantage. But now he regretted it. Wright and the other two at Second Sky of Incipient God Realm were from the elite force of the Bradley family. They had lost 3 of them at the same time. Light felt a bad twinge in his chest. He wore a dark face and finished his bottle within one breath. He stood up and said, "You and I will take action now." Carefree chuckled. "When you and I join hands, I think we just need half a month to break the barrier between the star areas. As DeCarlos has built that barrier, he will be hurt when we break it." Carefree became sinister. If DeCarlos hadn't interfered, he would have killed Shiryen already and taken 3 pieces of Bloodthirsty's remains. He wouldn't have lost Ouyang Luo Shuang, and they wouldn't have had to bear so many troubles as they did right now. He now considered DeCarlos his enemy. Carefree had never had mercy for his enemies. DeCarlos has chosen the opposite side as us. It'll be his worst misfortune. "I will make him pay for the 3 lives of my family's later generation," said Heavenly Kinglight. Thunder Firmament Star Area. The dried corpses of the God Clan warriors scattered around the Heavenly Lake. The beautiful and luxurious palaces were now in ruins. Blood puddled everywhere. Lei Dong, Ji Feng, and Harmon were moving swiftly like shadows through the place to kill the last members of the God Clan in this area. As they had only Ethereal God Realm and Original God Realm, they didn't have the chance to escape under the attack of the 3 incipient God Realm experts. Also, Thunder Firmament Star Area was sealed, so all the teleport formations were deactivated. The God Warriors here couldn't escape their fatal fates. They recognized that times had changed. After 10,000 years, the Overlord position of the God Clan was now challenged. After killing the last God Warrior, Lei Dong took out a sound stone and licked his lips. "Tell the others that bloodthirsty forces Master killed right." All the God Clan warriors in Thunder Firmament Lake were killed. From now on, the remaining warriors of the God Clan in Thunder Firmament Star Area are our targets. We will all go out to kill them. At the same time, Ji Feng and Harmon also took out the Sound Stone and sent the news. Lei Dong, Ji Feng, and Harmon were the leaders of the 3 strongest forces of Thunder Firmament Star Area. They had many dedicated and loyal subordinates. When the news spread out, the entire Thunder Firmament Star Area became boiling. Instantaneously, all the warriors of Thunder Firmament Star Area knew the commotion in the Heavenly Lake. They knew that the fate of Thunder Firmament Star Area changed now. Many warriors of the God Clan staying in the corner of the Star Area became prey, even though they were the hunters a moment ago. They became the targets of the warriors in the entire Star Area. The God Annihilation operation was carried out grumblingly in Thunder Firmament Star Area. Every day, every minute, the God Clan warriors were killed continuously. After they proactively sent the news, Lei Dong's soul consciousness checked around the area. He found many women with exposed clothes hiding in the corner and looking at the 3 of them in fright. Lei Dong looked at the beautiful women from different races that Right had captured for years. He sighed and then talked to Ji Feng. "Release them. They're from our star area. Per them." Ji Feng nodded. Lei Dong flashed and then appeared by the Heavenly Lake. He looked at Shiryen and became baffled. Shiryen was hovering inside a blood mist. The pungent smell of blood swirled by him while his body emitted strange, crimson light. The energy fluctuations from his body were turbulent and violent like water breaking a dam. However, he looked so calm as his soul altar was operating in a unique principle. It looked like he had become one with the sea of stars. Lei Dong turned to look at him, and he felt like he was beholding the mysterious, immense universe. He suddenly had strange respect. He was shocked, but he understood it immediately. "Confine the area. Allow no one to enter. The Master is about to break through. We can't let anyone disturb him." Hearing him, Ji Feng and Herman were frightened. Ji Feng hurried to talk to those women in ragged clothes. Then, he and Harmon gathered with Lei Dong by Shiryen, arranging their barriers to protect Shiryen. They were scared that Shiryen could fail his breakthrough if someone disturbed him. As they'd reached the incipient God realm, they knew that every breakthrough in this realm was so dangerous. One mistake could lead to eternal damnation. Lei Dong was at second sky of incipient God realm. When he had broken to the second sky, he had almost perished. Thus, he understood this critical moment better than Ji Feng and Harmon. They surrounded Shi and gathered their powers to create different barriers like clouds, the flowers, and lightning net to defend. Each of them was created with powerful, pure energy. "We should guard here and wait until he is broken through successfully," said Lei Dong. Jifeng and Harmon nodded in agreement. Deep inside the brilliant space basin, Decalers was floating. The magical, dazzling light shot out of his palms and created marvelous, complex formations moving around the space slits that overflowed towards Thunder Firmament star area. It required a constant supply of energy to maintain the seal in the entire star area. Although he had a profound realm, DeCarlos couldn't confine the entire star area in one attempt. Thus, during this time, he had to stay in the space slit and increase the energy of the seal in Thunder Firmament star area. All of a sudden, DeCarlos shivered. Billions of light beams projected from his pupils that looked like images from different spaces. He frowned and sighed. Carefree and Light have joined hands. I'm afraid that I can't maintain the seal for a long time. I can do it for half a month. I wonder if it will be enough. His line of sight crossed through many layers of spaces to watch Shi. He couldn't help but give a forced smile. At this moment, Shi was at the door to break through to second sky of incipient God realm. Even if he wanted to send him a message, it was impossible. He felt a little anxious and he frowned. I can forcefully interfere, but I can seize only half a month. That kid is breaking into second sky of incipient God realm. I wonder if it's enough to revive him. DeCarlos was so worried. He's the successor of that man. To ordinary warriors, it will take a long time to break through to second sky of incipient God realm, but it could be short to him, I suppose. I hope so. Master. Master. A voice called him and reverberated the message as if Shi was in a dream. It was the voice of the ring spirit. After Ming Hao had sealed it, it couldn't contact Shi since the connection between them was cut off. However, as Shi was breaking through, his mind was so quiet. No one knew how it could seize the chance and find the way to contact him feebly. "Help me lift the seal. He lied to you. He wants to replace you to be my master and the new master of the bloodthirsty force. You can't believe his words. Master, I've been with you for so many years. You know I've never hurt you. You should know." The ring spirit's voice was interrupted as if it was so tough to send its thoughts to Shi. Anyway, it had chosen the opportunity when Shi was breaking through. While breaking through to the new realm, the warrior shouldn't be disturbed because it could lead to terrible consequences. In the worst case, the warrior's soul could perish. As the ring spirit had seized this chance to talk to Shi, if it wasn't reluctant, it sure had some evil thoughts. The ring spirit's call seemed to have an evil power that lingered in Shi brain and became louder and louder. Shi mind became troubled. Shi closed his eyes and his breathing got harder. The circulation of his god power was stagnant in many spots inside his body. Lei Dong, Jifeng, and Harmon changed their faces. They suddenly knew that something was wrong. Their face became stern and heavy. Shi reaction clearly showed that he deviated while breaking through. It seemed like he was going to fall into bedevilment soon. This wasn't good at all. Chapter 1301, Self-Freezing. Chapter 1301, Self-Freezing, _ The ring spirit's voice echoed in Shi brain like big stones that fell into a tranquil lake and raised ripples and big waves. It was a critical time to break through, but the ring spirit's call had distracted Shi. He couldn't focus on breaking through the bottleneck of his realm. Jifeng, Lei Dong, and Herman looked at Shi, their faces grave. However, they didn't know how to deal with it. What should we do now? Jifeng sounded worried. He got distracted, but it's in his mind. We can't help him. Otherwise, it will become worse. What should we do? If he dies in our Thunder Firmament star area, the bloodthirsty force's flame of rage will burn us down. I'm afraid we won't live better than when the God clan ruled us. Herman forced a smile. He had thought further and deeper. Shi was the new master of the bloodthirsty force and the brightest star in the vast sea of stars. He was the icon of the forces against the God clan. If he died in Thunder Firmament star area, The warriors of Thunder Firmament Star Area would be drowned in the rage of Xian He, Ming Hao, and Frederick. Thunder Firmament Star Area couldn't bear any shockwave. Lei Dong, Ji Feng, and Harmon had given up everything to come here to find hope for Thunder Firmament Star Area. They will never want to see desperation falling on Thunder Firmament Star Area because of their impulsive acts. Calm down. Lei Dong looked at Ji Feng and Herman and shouted, "He's the new master of the bloodthirsty force and the successor of that legendary warrior. If he dies because of bedevilment while breaking through to the new realm, I think he will never take the risk to break through here." Listening to him, Ji Feng and Herman were touched. They thought that it was logical, so they could relax their minds a bit. Right, if Shuryen wasn't so sure, why would he break through right after he had just killed Wright's team? He didn't even notice them before he did that, though. If he wasn't so sure, how could he act impetuously like that? After considering that point, Ji Feng and Herman took a deep breath to tranquilize their minds. They continued to observe and protect Shuryen. They didn't know that Shuryen was standing in the Ring Spirit Sea of Consciousness while letting his god power Ancient Tree transform. They didn't know that Shuryen couldn't estimate the Ring Spirit and break Ming Hao's seal to bother him at a critical time. He could hear the Ring Spirit calling clearly, but he tried his best not to mind it. He knew that if the Ring Spirit came with a goodwill, it would never disturb him in such a moment. The Ring Spirit was like what Ming Hao had said. It had different thoughts. Shuryen was sure that the Ring Spirit wanted to seize this opportunity to possess his soul and his body. If Shuryen was the Ring Spirit, he would choose this moment to take action too, because there would be no chance better than now. While breaking through, the warrior had to concentrate wholeheartedly. A little distraction could result in a big change of the soul or even the soul fracture. Although Lei Dong, Ji Feng, and Herman were standing by him, they couldn't help him. They didn't know about the existence of the Ring Spirit, so they thought that the strange condition of his body was because of his breakthrough. In their eyes, Shuryen's problems could only be solved by Shuryen himself. "Master, help me break the seal. I will treat you wholeheartedly. I will help you kill him." The Ring Spirit screamed unceasingly and tried to guide his soul. Its voice ran directly into his mind and made him doubtful. If he was distracted, which would affect his body's transformation, he would be backfired by his own power. His body would explode tragically. Shuryen panted, his body convulsed, and the god power in his body was stimulated. He was at a critical moment. At this moment, the Ring Spirit became more urgent and restless as if it had just seen hope. Self-freezing. At the critical moment, Shuryen's host's soul sent a message through the space barriers to Grace Mainland. The crystal burying deep inside Grace Mainland suddenly radiated beautifully. A cold flame flew out and flickered. Many glaciers on Grace Mainland melted down instantly as if their cold energy was all drawn. The cold flame had crossed spaces and emerged in Shuryen's brains. The cold that was chilly to the bone expanded massively. Crack! Crack! Instantly, Shuryen's body was confined in a thick layer of ice. The cold white mist diffused from him. Thunder Firmament Lake was directly affected. As the white mist expanded, the thick ice appeared at a speed that naked eyes could observe. After less than 1 minute, the entire Thunder Firmament Lake and the area around the palace had become a white world of bitter snow and ice. Lei Dong, Ji Feng, and Herman became three ice sculptures. Their bodies were confined. Fear also froze on their faces. As they couldn't move, they could only use their souls to communicate. Too powerful. I'm afraid that only Third Sky of Incipient God Realm experts cultivating ice power Upanishad could release this kind of cold air current, said Ji Feng. He doesn't cultivate the cold power, right? What's going on? Screamed Herman. This extremely cold energy comes from the heaven flame. He is fused with the origin, so he's the master of the ancient continent. This kind of cold energy comes from deep inside the ancient continent. As long as we don't wiggle and our soul altars aren't frozen, it will be okay. Just stay here and watch the change. This cold energy isn't aimed at us. That's why we still can endure it, explained Lei Dong. Then who is it aimed at? Ji Feng was surprised. At him, said Lei Dong. But why? Ji Feng and Harmon screamed. I don't know. I only know that he got in trouble while breaking through. but I don't know what kind of trouble it is. I think he can deal with it himself. What we should do is to stay and watch. We shouldn't disturb him, said Lei Dong. Ji Feng and Herman were bewildered. However, they knew that Lei Dong had a wide knowledge, so they chose to believe him. They didn't release energy to break the ice layer covering them. They stood like that and waited in silence. While being imprisoned inside a thick chunk of ice like the ice mountain, Shurian's body, blood, soul, and sea of consciousness had quieted down. The ring with complicated blood drawings was also frozen. Since the cold energy had seeped into the ring and attacked it, the ring spirit couldn't send any message to Shurian. It was also because Shurian's soul and sea of consciousness were frozen. Time ticked by fast. After an unknown time, Shurian was completely still. Ji Feng, Herman, and Lei Dong gradually couldn't endure it anymore. The cold energy had begun to expand to their souls. They had to use the energy from the soul altar to break the ice on their bodies and free themselves. 3 days, Ji Feng frowned. He doesn't have any commotion. His soul stops working and his aura couldn't be found. What do we do? Keep watching. Don't act rashly, answered Lei Dong. Ji Feng and Herman exchanged reluctant looks. They continued to wait there and look at Shurian standing still like a 10,000-year ice mountain. In the dark sea of stars, the stars twinkled and sent starlight to illuminate the frozen thunder firmament lake. The starlight from deep in the universe was like the light of fireflies that flashed and got into the ice mountain. It was as if some force there was guiding it slowly towards Shurian. This entire world had become a massive glacier. The lake and Shurian were frozen, and it made a massive frozen area. The starlight moved very slowly inside the ice. The first of starlight had to move through a long distance to reach Shurian's frozen body. Just like a small spark that ignited the fire, starlight bloomed out of the acupuncture points in his entire body like dazzling diamonds. At that moment, countless starlight dots in the lake rolled into streams and flowed towards Shurian and disappeared into his body. At the same time, Ji Feng, Herman, and Lei Dong got rid of the ice. Seeing this wonder, they were so thrilled. Thunder Firmament Lake is made of some mysterious heavenly rivers in outer space. This lake has the lightning and thunder power together with the star power. And that kind of power is rolling towards Shurian. Lei Dong opened his eyes, his face frightened. He got some trouble, but I think he has figured out how to solve it. He exhaled in relief. Ji Feng and Herman were also happy upon watching so many starlight streams reaching Shurian and increasing his power. They closed their eyes to sense for a while. They had to nod in surprise that Shurian's soul was stable now. It meant that he had crossed the most dangerous phase. They knew now he needed time to compress his god power and clean the soul altar to sublimate his soul. The toughest moment was over. It was going to be pretty smooth for Shurian, and when he woke up, he was going to have reached second sky of incipient god realm. I know he will be all right, Lei Dong smiled then said. We can relax now before checking if our subordinates have finished all the members of the god clan here or not. They then took out the soundstone to contact their subordinates, their visages satisfied. The corner of the star area where mineral stars were connected. The members of the Qin family gathered, frowning and waiting. Why hasn't he come yet? Did he fool us? Qin Rong frowned and whispered. While talking, he looked fearful as he checked the beautiful figure in white standing far from him. Ouyang Luo Shuang's beautiful but cold eyes glared at them, and she slightly knitting her eyebrows. No, he will definitely come. He needs something here, said Qinlei. The Qin family lived in a remote area in Thunder Firmament Star area where they were kept away from connecting to the other forces. At this moment, they hadn't known anything about the big commotions of Thunder Firmament Star area. Every day, they had to live in fear and wait anxiously to see if the God Clan will take revenge on them or not. The God Clan had scared them badly that now they had to live and wait in fear. We've bet everything. I hope we can win to keep the family going on. Qin Rong forced a smile and sighed weakly. Don't worry. Our Qin family won't be obliterated. We will live well. I believe in him. He will definitely give us a new future, Qinlei comforted him. All the members of the Qin family had gathered and waited for the man who would bring them hope. Chapter 1302, A New Life. Chapter 1302, A New Life, _ Crack, crack. The thick ice in the heavenly lake cracked. Waves of fierce energy expanded from Shuryen and exploded even the void. Billions of beams of light bloomed in the universe. At this moment, Shuryen became a volcano that had just erupted after years of sleeping. That kind of energy fluctuation was fierce and abundant, and it made Lei Dong, Jifeng, and Harmon change their visages. Instinctively, they backed off and made some distance from them. Absolutely. This isn't the power that a second sky of incipient god realm expert could have. Moreover, he has just broken to the new realm. Jifeng's face twitched as he had a sour countenance. He's worthy of his title of the new master of the bloodthirsty force. The power he now shows can compare to third sky of incipient god realm experts who have been in that realm for a long time. So scary. If he was like the warriors at the same dream, how could he kill right? Lei Dong smiled. When they were talking, the glacier over there exploded altogether with the space. However, after one piece of the space there exploded, it immediately recovered as if there was a hand smoothing them immediately. They didn't know that Shuryen's commotion when he was breaking through had also cracked a corner of DeCarlo seal and made him spend a huge amount of energy to fix it. He also cursed Shuryen under his breath for his vandalism. Boom! Shuryen walked out of the pile of broken ice and appeared directly in front of Lei Dong. He grinned. You did it well. If Lei Dong hadn't been calm enough to stop Jifeng and Harmon from acting rashly, Shuryen would have had more trouble. The ring spirit wasn't someone Shuryen could underestimate. If Jifeng and Harmon had used their soul consciousness to check, their souls would have been unguarded and the ring spirit could have possessed them quickly. It then could have used their bodies to attack Shuryen and stop him from finishing his breakthrough. It could have even broken his soul altar. Lei Dong's calm state made Jifeng and Harmon stand and watch, letting him handle everything. He had successfully drawn the energy of the origin through his co-soul to freeze and seal himself. Then, his co-soul had guided the star energy to draw more energy from the sea of stars and used the devouring power Upanishad to gather the starlight that had successfully transformed his god power ancient tree. Shuryen's soul consciousness checked his internal conditions, and he was so happy to see the god power ancient tree had become shiny with magnificent light sparkling from the branches and leaves. That light came out from his lower abdomen and connected with his veins to create a complete circuit. Today, the god power ancient tree in his body had grown twice, and its branches had connected to his veins. When his thoughts changed, the god power surged massively and directly poured into his veins, merging with his blood and flesh. This kind of rising energy was almost tyrannical to him. The amount of his accumulated energy was much more than what the warriors at first sky of incipient god realm had. The energy he took from Right and the other two had provided him with a lot of god power. The warriors at second sky of incipient god realm had their god power ancient tree connect with their veins direction. It allowed the god power to flood the veins instantly. This had doubled the attack speed. Touching his glabella, the radiant incipient extent arose in the middle of the sky. The stars in his incipient extent were like massive, dazzling diamonds. As soon as his thoughts changed, green trees and grass grew and bloomed with the mountains, rivers, and lakes. He could even create earthquakes and shift among the 4 seasons. His incipient extent had become closer to reality. The 3 power Upanishads in his soul altar had been blending with each other magically and harmoniously. As his realm increased, his 3 power Upanishads could change soon and make his incipient extent more real. This feeling was so clear. After reaching second sky of incipient god realm, he seemed to have found the right direction. The direction to reach the higher realm. The incipient extent was the key to doing that. Shuryen understood it well. He vaguely knew that the incipient extent and the soul altar were related to breaking to the immortal realm. Sir. Lei Dong, Jifeng, and Harmon bent their bodies slightly, their faces respectful. This kind of respect came deep from their souls. Until now, is there any god warrior remaining in Thunder Firmament Star area? Asked Shuryen. According to our subordinates' news, we found no living god clan warrior. This star area is clear for now, Lei Dong answered respectfully. Shi Yan nodded. Pondering for a while, he said, Thunder Firmament Star Area is temporarily sealed. The God Clan can't cross the barrier to come here. Don't worry for the time being. I'm the God Clan's target. They won't send the top experts. Don't you worry. I'll arrange it. My men will come after I leave to help you rebel against the God Clan. He knew that Ming Hao, Xian He, and Frederick would never give Thunder Firmament Star Area to the God Clan. Once he could contact Ming Hao, the experts of the Bloodthirsty Force would come here. The subordinates he saw in the Bloodthirsty Force's Holy Land weren't all of them. They were the key members, and many of them had their own forces or organization. In addition, they had the mysterious forces that Ming Hao had controlled in the dark. Shi Yan believed that the real forces of the Bloodthirsty Force wouldn't be weaker than the God Clan by much. Counting the other independent forces like Heavenly Monster Tribe, the Immortal Demon Clan, the Thousand Fantasy Sect, the Broken Hall, and the Heaven River Temple, the Bloodthirsty Force wasn't in a bad situation in this war. Thank you, Master. We will go all out to counterattack the God Clan. Lei Dong sounded excited and determined. Shi Yan looked at him deeply in the eyes. You just remember it. Sir, is there anything you need us to do? We won't deny it. Ji Feng smiled, intervening. No need for now. If I need anything, I'll contact you. Shi Yan placed a finger on his mouth, looking at the void around and frowning. When he escaped the ice, the void had shattered altogether because of his breakthrough. However, all the cracks were closed shortly after. Shi Yan knew that the expert was still here, and he had used the incredibly supernatural power to mend the world here and continue to seal this star area. Precursor, are you still here? Shi Yan released his soul consciousness after thinking and sent it to the space crack. His wisps of soul consciousness had moved, but Shi Yan assumed that he wouldn't receive any reply. Thus, he decided to go. Suddenly, a wisp of soul consciousness came to him from a far void. You have around 25 days. After that, the seal in the star area will be deactivated. Heavenly King Light and Heavenly King Carefree will come. If you can't resurrect the immemorial Thunder Dragon, you will have to face them alone then. Ming Hao, Xian He, and Frederick have declared war with the God Clan. The Great Star Area War has ignited. They won't be free to come here and find you. You should pray for yourself. Who are you? Shi Yan shook. A starlight beam flashed in his eyes and stretched towards that direction to scout. Ming Hao asked me to take care of you for a while. And as for who I am, you will know after you revive my old friend. The soul consciousness came to him and disappeared suddenly. Shi Yan found that his soul consciousness couldn't get into that space crack anymore. He knew that the other had closed it to prevent him from entering the space crack. As they both cultivated space power, Shi Yan knew that the other's realm was much more profound. Such a character was truly the top expert of the Sea of Stars. He could move freely between star areas. In this sort of expert's point of view, there was no distance worth their consideration in this world. After a thought, they could even cross the entire star area. Sir! Sir! Ji Feng called Shi Yan as he saw the person immerse into his thoughts, frowning and changing his countenances continuously. Shi Yan was awakened. He turned to the other three and said, You guys should check the forces in Thunder Firmament Star Area and prepare for a war in the future. He rose one hand and pulled. A door appeared. After one step, he disappeared right in front of Harmon, Ji Feng, and Lei Dong. Then, he appeared by the peripheral area of Thunder Firmament Star Area and landed on the mineral star. Chen Rong, Chen Lei, and many members of the Chen family had their eyes brighten. They came close and looked at her with hope. Ouyang Luo Shuang was still cold. Her bright eyes looked at him, but she said nothing. Sir. Chen Lei called him, her face frightened. She seemed to be afraid of Shi Yan. What? Shi Yan asked indifferently. You've agreed with us that you'll arrange a new place for our Chen family. I wonder. Chen Lei chose her words carefully. Sir, as long as our Chen family stays here, right will come for us. They will obliterate our family. Sir, please help us and give us a beam of hope. Chen Rong bowed to him, looking at him and begging. To Chen Rong and the Chen family, right was a ruthless, massive mountain that they couldn't cross. As long as Right was still in Thunder Firmament star area, they couldn't ease their minds. They would be scared every day. Right? Shuryen pouted his lips and looked at them oddly. Yuchen family don't communicate with the world out there. We live in an isolated area. We've been living alone for many years. Yeah, it's true that we rarely contact the people out there, Qinrong answered honestly. Right is dead. There's no God clan warrior in Thunder Firmament star area now. If you don't believe me, you can call someone out there to check, Shuryen frowned and said, today, there is no God clan warrior in Thunder Firmament star area, your homeland. If you still want to leave, I will take you. Make up your mind. Listening to him, the Qin family members were baffled. Then, they burst out screaming and cheering. Shuryen didn't mind their decision. He turned to Ouyang Luo Shuang. If you want to go back to Grace Mainland, I can take you there now. What do you think? I want to see what you want to do, Ouyang Luo Shuang replied faintly. Shuryen nodded and walked into a dark mine. He disappeared. Ouyang Luo Shuang didn't hesitate and followed them. She also disappeared into the mine. Qinrong closed his eyes and held a soundstone in his hand. He carefully contacted someone and asked, Dino, I'm Qinrong. Yeah, we haven't contacted for around 100 years. How's it going in your place? Are you the chief of the Qin family? You're still alive. Yeah, we haven't talked for 100 years. It's really good here. Very good indeed. The God Clan warriors are all dead now. We're going to rebuild our homes. How about you guys? Are you going to build your new life? The friendly and good-willing laughter came from the soundstone, which was the joy of relief. All the members of the Qin family looked at the soundstone and listened to the voice that came out from the device. Then, people bustlingly smiled and hugged each other. Tears rolled down their cheeks as they were celebrating new lives to come. It was their new life, the new life of Thunder Firmament League, and the new life of an entire star area. Chapter 1303, Candid Counterpart. Chapter 1303, Candid Counterpart, _ The peripheral area of Thunder Firmament star area. The warriors of the Qin family were gathering by the mine with stacked oars, cheering and yelling excitedly. The mines in this area, created by many mineral stars, were connected to each other. Previously, they often released fierce lightning strikes that the Qin family didn't dare to come close to. In the past 1,000 years, they finally had the guts to come and check when the mines no longer projected lightning bolts. And then, they found the precious Wind Thunder Stone in those mines. The Wind Thunder Stone had helped the Qin family and the poor here become rich. The Qin family warriors had a positive source to cultivate. What's in there that attracted him? Qinrong looked at the mine and knitted his brows. I don't know. According to our family's records, it should be something marvelous. Qinlei relaxed and smiled. I think we don't need to abandon our homeland. Qinrong nodded and then ordered the others. We will stay here for the time being. After that master gets out, we will see what we should do. While the Qin family members were talking to each other, Shuryen had entered deep into the mineral star and followed a spacious passage to the core of the planet. Ouyang Luo Shuang wore pure white clothes. She looked like a cold and elegant spirit, even though her makings were still cold and stern. Her clear eyes sometimes checked Shuryen as if she had something in her mind. Many pieces of rock had wind howling and thunder grumbling along the passage. It was so incredible. Shortly after, Shuryen paused, his face surprised. What happened? Ouyang Luo Shuang looked at the area ahead of them, furrowing her bold brows and asking. We're almost there, squinting. Shuryen rose one arm and pointed forward. That area was deep inside the mineral star with many caves and pieces of stone on the ground, including many chunks of wind thunder stone. The thunder and wind howling they heard came from those stones. The wind thunder stone stored the power of the wind and thunder and lightning. However, the small pieces weren't really valuable. As those pieces of stones weren't bigger than a fingernail, they weren't taken away. This place was the deepest area of this mine. If they wanted to go further, they had to dig up the way themselves. Shuryen used his soul consciousness to check. He found no powerful life energy fluctuation or any kind of fierce energy around. However, he believed that the immemorial Thunder Dragon's body lay in there. As he got nothing from his senses, it meant that it was because of some barrier or restriction. He hadn't reached the area covered by the barriers and restrictions yet. Crack! Shi Yan placed his hand on the rock wall. The white, sharp light shot out from his fingertips. It was a space blade that could break anything. He thrust it into the rock wall. The hard rock was like metal, but it exploded easily like sand when the space blade stabbed into it. A new passage was created quickly and it led deeper into the mine. The space blade moved further and made the passage more in-depth. Shi Yan retracted his hand and entered the new passage. His face darkened when he observed the surroundings. The divine light shot out from his eyes. Shortly after, he halted. At that moment, the arm-sized lightning beams like a long snake shot out from the stone passage. More than millions of flashes with deadly, scorching lightning bolts swarmed toward them. Boom, boom, boom. The dazzling white lightning covered Shi Yan and Ouyang Luoshuang instantly. They felt so itchy that it could crack them crazy. Their bodies shook hard. Within several breaths, the white lightning had burned their clothes into ashes. The beams of white lightning whipped on Shi Yan's and Ouyang Luoshuang's naked bodies and got through their skin to attack them. Those white lightning beams were cunning. They moved and wormed inside their veins, giving them sour pain that they couldn't resist. At this moment, Ouyang Luoshuang's magnificent snow-white body was revealed utterly. She looked like a perfect white jade statue of a goddess. She looked flawless indeed. Her tender waist was so small while her thighs were slim and straight. Her breasts perked like a pair of snowy mountains. The beautiful curves of her neck were so obvious too. At the glimpse of the lightning attack, Shi Yan was so afraid that Ouyang Luoshuang couldn't resist such an attack. He couldn't help but turn around to check her. He was bewildered, but his eyes were so hot. He gazed at Ouyang Luoshuang's flawless body. He then went absent-minded as he had totally forgotten why he turned around to check her. He just beheld her body like that. Under his hot gaze, the naked woman was so embarrassed. She glared at her and scolded, "Bastard." Shi Yan smiled and said, "Oh, you can still curse. Those lightning strikes can't threaten you. I can ease my mind now." Even though he said so, his eyes were still lingering on that mesmerizing white body. Apparently, he didn't want to look away. He instinctively compared her body with the other women he used to have romantic times with. Then, he figured out that only Xiao Yang could compare to her. He complimented inwardly and took in her figure for a while more. It's not that I want to peep on you. It's the right time and right place, right? You saw mine too. No offense. Just like Ouyang Luoshuang, Shi Yan was naked. His body had clear, lean muscles that showed his beautiful masculine features pretty clearly. Despicable. Ouyang Luoshuang glanced at him. Then, she had to look away immediately and she cursed again. Her heart suddenly beat frantically. It was the first time she saw a naked man. Shi Yan grinned evilly. It's a Candid counterpart. We're naked like newborn babies. This is how we used to be. The clothes that cover the body is a restriction of the mortal morality and etiquette. It's like we shackle ourselves. Actually, I think it's good to stay naked like this. Haha. Laughing loudly, he walked forward. The white, deadly lightning bolts that bombarded his body couldn't affect him much. Ouyang Luoshuang gritted her teeth, her clear eyes indignant. However, she now had a vibe in her heart that she couldn't explain. She looked at the passage Shi Yan was walking and was hesitant. She discreetly checked her naked body and then made up her mind. She pretended to be cool and calm, following him with her naked body. Ouyang Luoshuang used her cold moonlight to protect her body from more lightning beams. Her entire body was snow-white like a moon spirit gliding on the passage. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, more thunder echoes came from the section ahead of them. The rumbling thunder was like a club pounding on their chests and sea of consciousness. Ouyang Luoshuang's body shook. Her ample breasts bounced. She couldn't help but scream in agony, her face pale. She stooped to look at the ground under her feet. Under her feet, the ground looked swollen as if it had pus inside. The thunder came whenever the ground throbbed. The grumbling thunder was specifically aimed at the soul and the sea of consciousness. She stopped moving and urged her power Upanishad to increase her energy, protecting her body. The cold moonlight beams emitted from her elegant body like a transparent silk cloak that shrouded her curves. However, the moonlight protection was pure and crystal clear. It couldn't hide her perfect body. Although she was still naked, she was now not afraid of the lightning and thunder attacking her heart anymore. She lifted her head to look and found that Shiryen disappeared from her sight. She tried to walk forward and found that after several steps, the power of the grumbling thunder increased. It meant that the deeper she went, the stronger the deadly lightning attack was. Her visage changed as she guessed that Shiryen's level of power was higher than hers. Pondering for a while, she gritted her white teeth and gathered her god power. She then turned into a cold moonlight flow and shot forward. "It's here," Shiryen mumbled while touching the rock wall. That rock wall had a wonderful silver hue, as if it was consolidated from water with the dazzling light. Shiryen could see thick electric beams moving inside the rock. There were so many, and they were complicated like the Venus system in the human body. They were everywhere in the stone wall, and they were moving strangely. After Ouyang Luoshuang arrived, she had to halt as her soft body was shocked hard. She had to hold her milky chest, her eyes showing her pain. The power of the deadly lightning here had surpassed her endurance. Her heart throbbed as if it was about to explode with the grumbling thunder. She had to spend more of her pure energy to protect her heart. Shiryen stopped muttering and he turned his head to look at her. He watched the white fluid seep through the gaps between her fingers as he said, "You're impulsive. The lightning power here isn't something you can endure. You can't stand it for a long time." Ouyang Luoshuang's cold and bright eyes just looked at him harshly. She wasn't free to answer. Her energy and spirit were used to resist the lightning here. She couldn't spend extra energy to talk. "I could never know what you women think." Shiryen shook his head and opened his mouth to spurt out of a star that carried his vitality. The star then fell on the beautiful breasts Ouyang Luoshuang's hands were protecting. It covered her milky breasts like a chest plate. After the star covered her heart, the deadly lightning and thunder that were pressing Ouyang Luoshuang disappeared into thin air. Feeling the warm energy from the star on her bosom, her heart that had just stabilized now throbbed strangely. However, it wasn't because of the lightning and thunder this time. Her beautiful eyes became so strange. Her cold face blushed. She stooped as if she was frightened to see Shiryen's majestic, naked body. Shiryen didn't recognize her strange behavior. He became focused and he touched the glabella. The soul altar spun fiercely. Countless fine space blades flew out of his incipient extent like magical carving knives in the hands of an excellent craftsman. They were used to clear this area. After the cracking sounds and the small pieces of stones flew out from the wall, they disappeared into the small space slits instantly. Shiryen was highly focused and careful. He had to ensure that the sharp blades would not touch the remains of the dragons while cutting off the rock layer. He felt lucky that he hadn't come to this area rashly and decided to recover his god power first. Killing Right's force, he had reached second sky of incipient god realm, and he could use the god power better to dig up the immemorial thunder dragon's remains. Shiryen was sure that if he had taken action impulsively at that time, the layers of deadly lightning beams here would force him to back off, and he would never have been able to cut off the rock here skillfully to discover the dragon's remains. Stabilizing his mind and spirit and using the power Upanishad, Shiryen had controlled the space blades subtly. Ouyang Luoshuang clutched her chest and watched him silently. Her eyes were still filled with confusion, and she was still shivering. Chapter 1304, Human Nature. Chapter 1304, Human Nature, _ Crack. Crack. The massive mine created by several mineral stars could be compared to a small-sized life star, but its volume wasn't small, and its weight could be even heavier than a big life star. Explosions and shattering sounds became thicker. The members of the Qin family were frightened. Looking at the mine with earth-shaking commotions, they were guessing what was going in there. "Retreat! Retreat! All of you!" Qin Rong and Qin Lei shouted and asked the Qin family warriors to leave the mine. They discolored and instinctively moved away. While they were retreating, the commotion inside the mine became scarier. They could see many big rocks explode and shoot up into the sky before disappearing bizarrely. They were so frightened. However, when they looked at the mine created by several mineral stars, they found that it was shrinking. Looking carefully, they recognized that it wasn't the mine was shrinking. It was because many big rocks on the mine were disappearing. It was like a fat man had his fat drawn away rapidly, so he became lanky. Evidently, it was so strange. Everything was beyond their knowledge. They didn't know the reason, so they could only run away fast to not get involved. They were afraid that they would disappear mysteriously like those rocks. Shortly after, the massive mine shrunk. Now, it was only 1/3 of its original size. They saw many fine spacelets drawing the rocks into them and disappear. The warriors of the Qin family get 100 miles away. Shi Yan's voice arose with power that the others couldn't deny. Qin Rong was bewildered and hesitating. Chief, I think there's a precious treasure. They're about to dig it up. That mine belongs to our Qin family. He asked us to leave to claim that treasure alone. A greedy old man of the Qin family couldn't help but hiss. His eyes thirstily looked at the mine. Listening to him, more and more members of the Qin family had their hearts beat frantically. They became excited when they looked at the mine. It was human nature. When their lives were threatened, they wanted to live, so they only think about their lives. However, once they were sure that their lives are secure, an evil thought rose in their mind. Many warriors of the Qin family thought that the others were digging some treasure in their mine. They thought that treasure should belong to the Qin family. Qin Rong hesitated and debated on whether to leave or to stay and bargain with Shi Yan to have a share of the treasure. At least, he has to give us a bowl of soup, right? He thought instinctively. He knew right, and the entire God clan warriors here were killed, but he didn't know that Shi Yan did that. Shi Yan had only first sky of incipient God realm, and he had never told them his real position. Also, the Qin family didn't have a lot of communication with the world outside, so he guessed that someone else had killed Right. Thus, he wasn't really afraid of Shi Yan. When his life wasn't threatened and he was greedy for treasure, such enticement made him not recognize his position. Retreat, Qin Lei hissed. The scar on her cheek twisted. She looked worried and hurried. She knew the situation better than Qin Rong, and her eyes were much sharper. She knew Shi Yan's intimidation. Listen to him. Or else, we will receive a deadly disaster. That treasure should belong to our Qin family. We should at least know what it is. We should at least have a share of it, right? The man who had triggered the crowd talked again. He looked at Qin Lei with cold eyes. Do you like him? Don't ever think about it. With your appearance, it's impossible. Listening to him, Qin Lei felt so cold. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. Uncle Hong. How do you say that? Qin Hong was at second sky of ethereal god realm. He was an important warrior in the Qin family too. With a cold and stiff face, he said, "Isn't it true? If you don't like him, why are you protecting him? Why don't you think about our family's welfare? You brought him here, didn't you?" Many warriors of the Qin family were surprised. They then looked at Qin Lei. Except for the warriors who had followed Qin Lei for years, the mine slaves, and the other warriors of the Qin family looked at her doubtfully, their faces dark. They doubted Qin Lei that she had found the treasure when she had managed this mining area. They thought that Qin Lei had used this massive treasure to pay for Shi Yan's service of killing the God clan warriors here. Qin Lei looked at their countenances. She felt so down. Eventually, she looked at Qin Rong. There are some people we can't ever offend. For our Qin family, I hope you will think more carefully. I know, Qin Rong frowned at her. We will just watch from a far distance. We want to see what kind of treasure it is. I think we can try for something. It's good if we can get it. Qin Rong's eyes sparkled. It should belong to our Qin family. Even if he's more overbearing, he should give us some soup, right? Qin Hong licked his lips. Qin Lei was desperate. She wasn't a fool. She could see Qin Rong's greed. As they weren't threatened from the God clan anymore, Qin Rong wanted to show off his power. The big treasure, there was also a big chance to him. Whoever believes me, come with me now, she sighed and left with a desperate countenance. Many mind slaves and the guards under her commands followed her silently. Qin Rong and the other members of the Qin family retreated a little and continued watching the mine. They didn't listen to Shi Yan's order to retreat 100 miles away. Chief, Qin Hong looked at the place with greed. When the great treasure appears, it will come with a great phenomenon. That man has just first sky of incipient god realm. It will take a lot of energy from him to activate the treasure. Should we? Shut up, Qin Rong hissed. Qin Hong looked at him. He was moved, but he just nodded and said nothing. He got his calculation. Boom, boom, boom. The mine still had earth-shaking commotions. Gradually, many clouds came from the faraway area, hovering above the mine. Lightning flashed and thunder echoed inside the clouds. Lightning bolts shot out of the mine and stirred up the entire area. In the flashes of lightning and the echoing thunder, a gigantic silver dragon skeleton arose. A thick layer of wind thunderstone covered the skeleton. They then fell off the dragon's body. Shi Yan and Ouyang Luo Shuang appeared in the dazzling light so the others couldn't see them. They continuously changed their positions above the silver dragon skeleton as if they were surveying something. It is, Qin Hong stammered as he was so shocked by the massive skeleton. That skeleton belongs to a level 13 beast. Oh gosh, the lightning and thunder energy from it is so earth-shaking. It's a real treasure. An incredible treasure, screamed a warrior of the Qin family. Sir. Qin Hong looked at Qin Rong, his eyes showing his greed. Qin Rong's heart beat frantically as his eyes were fixed on the immemorial Thunder Dragon's remains. Sir, we've been guarding this place for several thousand years. That mine belongs to our Qin family. Please consider our harsh living situation for many years and give us a bit of that skeleton. We will appreciate your good deeds a lot. Shi Yan was astounded in the light. He looked at Qin Rong from a far distance and frowned. I told you guys to retreat 100 miles away. Didn't you hear me? It's our Qin family's territory. Why can't we stay here to investigate from the beginning? Shouted Qin Hong. Shi Yan was so surprised. He looked at the man from a distance and talked oddly. Oh, it turns out you're greedy for treasures. How ridiculous. You're just a bunch of ants that had to struggle to survive. And now you're so greedy that you want to steal the elephant's food. Haha. As soon as he finished, a moonlight shot out from Ouyang Luo Shuang's light and fell on Qin Hong like a meteor. Immediately, Qin Hong shattered like glass powder. His body exploded so quickly that he could not even register that he was dying. Qin Rong was shocked. He was awakened quickly and he screamed, "We will go now." He had never thought that the others would be so cruel. He thought that he could bargain for something because the others would have spent a lot of energy already, so it was a chance to seize something. But he regretted it now. I'm going to clean this mess for you. Just focus on your work, Ouyang Luo Shuang said, and then flew away. Instantly, the moonlight beams shot out like a shower of arrows. The remaining Qin family warriors exploded shortly after. Shi Yan just felt that it was ridiculous. He didn't even bat an eye on the Qin family member as he said deliberately, "Then thank you. I don't need to distract my mind then." Then, he continued to use his energy and cut off the rock on the immemorial Thunder Dragon's body to reveal it completely. We were so wrong. We know that we were wrong. We beg for your mercy. Qin Rong screamed as if he could even tear his intestines and begged. At this moment, he knew that he would never have sharp eyes like his sister Qinlei. He knew that he was so wrong this time. Unfortunately, Shi Yan didn't mind and Ouyang Luo Shuang wasn't going to stop her slaughter. In her eyes, the Qin family's deed was so low. She had to kill all of those greedy, despicable warriors to clear her mind and purify her mood. Thus, Qin Rong's group had to die. In a pretty far area, Qinlei and a group of warriors in shabby clothes looked at them and the moonlighting shooting like arrows. Although she was so mournful, she said through her gritted teeth, "No one's allowed to get there." "Madame Lei," screamed a guard. "Please, I'm begging you. Please stay to hold on to the Qin family's bloodline. Don't go there to die." Qinlei clutched her chest. "It's they who seeks death. I told them those weren't warriors we could provoke. They didn't listen to me. Their fate was determined by their greed." Listening to her, the warriors on her side quieted down. They also knew that Qin Rong and Qin Hong weren't nice people before they were enslaved by the God Clan. Living under the God Clan's subjugation, they had to turn more honest. However, as soon as the God Clan's threat was gone, their nature came back. They did the same things they used to do. However, the one they had encountered this time was even more brutal and heartless than the God Clan. Thus, their dramatic fate was sealed. Chapter 1305, Thunder Dragon Skeleton. Chapter 1305, Thunder Dragon Skeleton. Shortly after, Qin Rong and the Qin family warriors who decided to stay were all killed. No one was left alive. After many years, Ouyang Luoshuang had experienced many dangers and adversities. Her heart went numb. She didn't have mercy when she wanted to kill people. As she looked so skillful and determined, it wasn't the first time she acted so. The Qin family warriors had low realms, so there wasn't that much energy that Shi Yan could gather after they died. Shi Yan didn't even want to distract his mind to collect this amount of energy. He just released his bloody shield that then turned into a massive crimson mouth that drew those wisps of energy. After that, the mysterious drawings on the shield became clearer. After he could use the bloody shield, it connected directly to his blood veins. With only one thought, the blood shield could become the armor that covered his body. This bloody shield still had room to grow. The more energy it accumulated, the stronger the armor could be. The energy from the Qin family warriors could strengthen it a little bit. Ouyang Luoshuang's cold and bright eyes looked at the shield. She looked a little shaken. The blood clusters of clouds on the bloody shield were so manifest. As the energy from the Qin family warriors moved, the clusters of cloud moved like stars in the sky and released immense blood light. Looking at the blood light for a while, Ouyang Luoshuang suddenly felt angry and restless. Her soul seemed to sink into the blood sleet, which increased her desire to kill. That desire became so fierce. Her bright and clear eyes turned crimson. Stop. Suddenly, a thundering sound echoed in her sea of consciousness like God's voice that shattered the desire in her mind. She regained her consciousness. Then, she didn't dare to look at that blood shield more. With fear in her heart, she urged the soul altar to use the cold energy to wash her mind and stabilize her soul and God energy. At the same moment, the blood shield turned into a beam of blood that disappeared into Shi Yan's head through his glabella. Shi Yan floated above the skull of the immemorial thunder dragon skeleton, his face grave. His eyes were so bright when he focused on observing. Underneath his body was the 30,000-meter-long skeleton of the immemorial thunder dragon that didn't have any piece of skin or flesh. There were only shining silver bones. This skeleton was so massive that it could compare to an asteroid in the universe. The lightning beams on this frame were so deadly and terrifying. After observing, he found dozens of cracks and cuts on the bones as if it was cut and chopped. Some cuts were very deep. Shi Yan was sure that the immemorial thunder dragon had experienced the most fierce battle of his life before he died. That battle had wounded the dragon's body severely, which had even extracted his soul and divided it into many beams and scorching lightning beams by the star barriers of Thunder Firmament star area. Since his soul and body were apart, he couldn't revive after so many years. A wisp of soul consciousness made a twinkling, massive hand in the void that pushed on the skull of the immemorial thunder dragon skeleton. In that short moment, lightning bolts and flashes like electric clubs shot toward Shi Yan's soul along the hand created by his god power. Boom, boom, boom. Thunder boomed in Shi Yan's head. His body felt like he had just gotten hit from many massive hammers and shook several times. A trickle of blood dripped on the corner of Shi Yan's mouth. He just wiped it away and his face didn't change as he urged the demon blood to cure his wound. Squinting to think for a few seconds, Shi Yan was startled when he came to the conclusion that this dragon had reached the immortal realm when he was still alive. Otherwise, he couldn't hurt Shi Yan's tough body with only a remnant of energy in the skeleton. Only an existence at the immortal realm could retain such terrifying energy in his remains and be so formidable even his soul was scattered away. Only an immortal realm expert could do that. An existence at the immortal realm. one of the ancestors of the heavenly monster tribe. Yeah, it's our destiny. Yan wasn't frightened. Instead, he felt lucky and happy. He grinned, his face excited. He had the origin of Grace Mainland and Heavenly Monster Tribe considered Grace Mainland as their ancestral land. In other words, they were Yan's citizens. Even the holy beast Azure Dragon had to yield for the welfare of his tribe. He couldn't act as he wanted. When this immemorial Thunder Dragon revived, he would have only one choice, which was to take the same path as Yan. Would he be a sharp spear in his hand? As Yan understood it clearly, he became more enthusiastic. He smiled while urging the power Upanishad and used the space energy to create layers of cages to contain the immemorial Thunder Dragon's skeleton. Then, he faced the sky and roared, activating the energy in his entire body. The starlight bloomed fiercely from him and created endless power instantly. The 30,000-meter-long Thunder Dragon's body made crack-crack sounds and then slowly moved towards the star area barrier like a gigantic battleship. Yan sat cross-legged on the immemorial Thunder Dragon's skull, squinting and smiling. Hesitating, Ouyang Luo Shuang turned into a clear moonlight beam and followed the immemorial Thunder Dragon at a normal pace, approaching the fearsome, massive dragon tail. From a distance, Qin and the other members of the Qin family looked bitter and sorrowful. They sighed as they were distressed. They didn't get along well with Qinrong's team, so they didn't live in the main star of the Qin family. Instead, they had based on the mineral star. However, they were still from the same family. They were so upset and dispirited when Qinrong's team was killed. Especially Qin. She was Qinrong's younger sister by blood. Even though she knew Qinrong was despicable and callous, he always took care of her very well. She touched the long scar on her face, her eyes miserable. She sighed, "I didn't blame you for making this scar on my face. I knew it clearly. I know because of this scar I can live until now. But you shouldn't be impulsively greedy. I'm afraid I can't take revenge for you." The guards and the members of the Qin family by her had a close relationship with the ones who were killed. Many of them didn't have the same thoughts as Qin. Some of them still thought about retaliating. However, they didn't dare to show it out and tried to hold it in their minds. Madam Lei, what is that?" A lanky teenager suddenly pointed, shaking and stammering. The teenager couldn't help but retreat. His face paled. The hem of his shabby clothes fluttered like anxiety in his heart. Everybody looked as he pointed. They discolored in fright. Deep desperation appeared in their eyes while chills were sent down their spines. A massive silver dragon skeleton bigger than any battleship they knew with lightning flashing and thunder booming slowly approached them in layers of dark clouds and mist. A prestige from the chaotic, primal time swarmed over and filled each corner of this area. It subdued every creature. Sitting on the skull of the dragon was a stern and majestic figure like a mountain. He had the makings of the Lord of the Stars. Naturally, people felt subdued and didn't have the will or thought of rebelling. Looking at the figure sitting on the dragon's head, Qin and the remaining warriors of the Qin family felt so bitter. They all wore desperate, reluctant faces. They suddenly understood that they would never have the power to take revenge on this man. While they were glumly sighing, the gigantic dragon skeleton stopped by. Yan's line of sight fell on Qin like a meteor. He said indifferently, "The greedy ones who dared to scheme against me have gone one step ahead. It's not your fault, I understand. I kept my words of what I've agreed with you." Pausing for a while, he frowned. "Do you want to leave here or rebuild the Qin family? Have you made up your mind yet?" Qin was surprised. She thinned her lips and pondered for a long time. Then, she said softly, "I want to stay and rebuild the Qin family. We don't want to abandon our homeland. We don't want to start all over again in a star area we don't belong in. I highly appreciate your choice." Then, a massive hand made of the stars suddenly got through a vortex in the sky, pulling and twisting in there. Shortly after, the massive hand forcefully grabbed a lot of items and took them out of the vortex. The hand then unfolded above Qin's head. Instantly, many precious crystals, excellent sets of armor, fragrant pellets, and sharp weapons fell from that massive star hand. Many of those cultivating materials, armor, or pellets were at the divine grade level. Qinlei and her warriors became dumbstruck. Those things came from Thunder Firmament Lake. After I killed Wright, they've become unowned. Since you've cooperated with me well, I bestow these things to you. I hope it will help you strengthen the Qin family. Shi Yan looked at her and pondered for a while. You are more suitable to become the head of the Qin family than your brother Qinrong. With his characteristics and vision, even if he had those items, he would never be able to give a new brighter future to the Qin family. You can do that. Don't fail me. I hope that when we meet again, the Qin family will become the #1 force in Thunder Firmament Star area. Afterward, the immemorial Thunder Dragon rolled one more time and went to the barrier inside the layers of dark clouds and mist, heading to Shi Yan's bright and magnificent future. Soul Reviving Pellet Level 5 Divine Grade. Spirit Jade Divine Grade Level 6. Gosh, he gave us all the good stuff. He killed Wright. He killed Wright. Oh my god, Qinrong and Qinhong were crazy. They dared to scheme against them. They deserved it. Bad sight. Why did they have to provoke them? They went against the god of slaughter. Wright had collected all the treasures of the star area. And now we got half of them. Our Qin family has a future now. Hey, this is the 10,000 flower congregated essence stew. It can erase all kinds of scars. A guard of the Qin family carefully gave Qinlei a jade bottle and said excitedly, Madam Lei, this 10,000 flower congregated essence stew can recover your beautiful face. Madam Lei used to be the most beautiful lady of our Qin family. With this, Madam Lei will never be upset because of your appearance anymore. However, Qinlei ignored him. Her eyes fixed on the direction the immemorial Thunder Dragon had disappeared. She kept silent for a long time. Madam Lei, the guard kept calling her. After a long time, Qinlei took a deep breath and mumbled to herself before talking to her warriors. From now on, I'm the master of the Qin family. I will give you guys and the Qin family a whole new future. The Qin family will definitely become one of the strongest force in Thunder Firmament Star area. Chapter 1306, Ignite the Flame of Life. Chapter 1306, Ignite the Flame of Life, _ By the star area barrier, the clusters of lightning gathered and squeaked strangely. The massive immemorial Thunder Dragon skeleton released a bright silver halo, lying by the barrier like a bone mountain. It looked majestic and imposing. Shi Yan sat cross-legged on the dragon's skull, his face grave. His soul consciousness moved continuously to circulate the life power Upanishad to guide the Thunder Dragon's scattered wisps of souls returning to its skull. However, no matter how hard he had used the life power Upanishad or the other powers he couldn't do anything to the Thunder Dragon's scattered soul. He had used the life power Upanishad as the foundation and his immortal demon blood as the conductor to guide those sticky wisps. However, as soon as he touched the wisps of the Thunder Dragon soul, his soul altar shook as if it was about to explode. The immemorial Thunder Dragon's soul had defended itself instinctively. Although its consciousness hadn't gathered yet and couldn't use even 1/10 of its real power, it was still very terrifying. It wasn't something that Shi Yan could test. As the life power Upanishad failed, Shi Yan tore the space and used the streamer band as the conductor to gather the wisps. It didn't work. After many failed trials, all the methods that Shi Yan knew didn't work. It was really tough to resurrect the immemorial Thunder Dragon. Shi Yan frowned and thought, You want to revive this beast? Ouyang Luo Shuang's cold voice interrupted his thought. She had followed him quietly and just observed. She didn't talk much. When Shi Yan was begrudgingly distressed because of his failure, she spoke eventually. Perhaps your approach isn't correct. Wrong approach? Shi Yan frowned. He turned to her and said, What's your opinion? Recently, I've been wandering around the universe. I've heard a lot of the secrets of the 4 great clans. This beast is obviously the ancestor of Heavenly Monster Tribe. Since his soul and body had been separated for a long time, normal methods couldn't work. Why don't you try another force? The origin power, for example. Her voice was calm like water as she explained to Shi Yan. It seems like you know a lot of great things. Shi Yan was moved. My teacher used to tell me many things. If you fused with Grace Mainland's origin, you should use it. Her face was indifferent. Heavenly Monster Tribe was born in our homeland. I'm sure there's a subtle connection between them and the origin. If your host's soul can't do anything, I bet the co-soul can do something. Sounds logical. Shiyan nodded and closed his eyes like an old monk meditating. Ouyang Luo Shuang's reminder gave Shiyan a new idea. His host's soul stayed in this area while his soul consciousness had crossed spaces to reach Grace Mainland. Deep inside Grace Mainland was a magnificent crystal buried. A 5-colored flame flew out quietly. That flame suddenly transformed into Shiyan's image, flashed, and disappeared. A valley inside the Heavenly Monster Mountain Range. Holy Beast Azure Dragon was dormant inside a mountain that had hundreds of deep caves. Earth and heaven energy filled the caves. Azure Dragon was inhaling and exhaling the spirit energy from the surrounding sea area to refine his skeleton and internal organs, increasing his power. Ghost Hunter was squatting in front of a cave in his monster body. The energy fluctuating from him was incredibly fierce as his blood was like boiling water. Shiyan's phantom appeared in the valley. Instantly, the flows of earth and heaven energy stopped circulating. Ghost Hunter was shaken while cultivating. Then, Ghost Hunter transformed into his humanoid body, a cold and stern young man. He walked to Shiyan, his eyes emitting a strange halo. He looked at the phantom, bowed to him and calling, Shiyan. Shiyan looked at him. He couldn't help but frown. What is the relationship between you and me in the future? At first glance, Shiyan knew that Ghost Hunter's level was incredible now. This phantom of his was created by the flaming origin so he could understand everything deeply on this land. Shiyan could clearly see that Ghost Hunter had reached the intermediate phase of level 13, which was similar to him at Second Sky of Incipient God Realm. While he didn't notice, Ghost Hunter had reached an extremely terrifying level. He was moved when he recalled what Ming Hao had said when they were in the Blood Sea. Ghost Hunter was the mixed blood of Heavenly Monster Tribe, Imperial Dark Tribe, and the Immortal Demon Clan. He was a unique existence that was the closest to Bloodthirsty's bloodline in this vast sea of stars. When they met in the past, Ghost Hunter had addressed Shiyan as Master. But this time, he called Shiyan by his name. Shiyan wanted to know what he meant when he did that. Ghost Hunter had turned into a stern and cold young man who was somehow about 60% similar to Shiyan. Ghost Hunter contemplated for a while, his eyes dark and deep. Holy Ancestor promised that I would become the leader of Heavenly Monster Tribe in the future. I can't insult this identity. I can never be someone's servant or subordinate anymore. Shiyan's eyes flashed as he looked at a cave where Azure Dragon was transforming into his humanoid figure. Azure Dragon said with a stern expression, Ghost Hunter has the most magical blood in this world running in his body. He will replace Xingyun to be the next leader of Heavenly Monster Tribe after me. As the new leader of Heavenly Monster Tribe, he is no longer your mount. I have never considered him my mount. Shiyan wore a serious face and said to Ghost Hunter, until now, I have always treated you as my friend. And that will never change. Ghost Hunter's eyes showed a strange emotion. He bent his body slightly and spoke with his head low. Although we're not master and servant anymore, we will become the most loyal friends, as you said. We are friends. Yes, we were and we will always be. He turned to Holy Beast Azure Dragon and said coldly, You can't interfere with my decision. Azure Dragon was stunned. He then just shook his head and sighed inwardly. He had never thought that after trying so hard, Ghost Hunter would still be loyal to Shiyan. This kind of bond that had been formed and carved deeply in the bone, and it wasn't something that could be washed away with time. Azure Dragon pondered for a few seconds and then smiled tenderly. He's the one with the origin of our ancestral land. We won't have any dispute with him later. Quite the contrary, his strength is the grace of the entire Heavenly Monster Tribe. Of course, you are his company or his friend. Unless he dies, this relationship will not change. It's the arrangement of fate. Shiyan looked at Ghost Hunter and smiled at him. He then turned to talk to Azure Dragon. I'm here for a reason. I found the skeleton and the scattered soul of the immemorial Thunder Dragon in Thunder Firmament Star area. Someone wants me to resurrect him. I tried, but I couldn't find the secret to doing so. As you're the holy ancestor of Heavenly Monster Tribe, do you know how to revive the immemorial Thunder Dragon? My body is still there. It's a rushed matter. If you know how, tell me right now. The immemorial Thunder Dragon was the ancestor of Heavenly Monster Tribe at the Immortal Realm. Azure Dragon and precursors of Heavenly Monster Tribe had spent so much time and energy to find him. Of course, they wanted to help Xiao to resurrect the dragon. Indeed, Azure Dragon was so happy when he listened to Xiao. You found him. You found him. How do I revive him? Xiao interrupted his joy. Use the origin. Azure Dragon said resolutely and excitedly. He was like me. We were born in the ancestral land. The origin had ignited our flame of life. You have the origin of our ancestral land and the life power Upanishad. After you ignite his soul flame, his soul will gather itself automatically. You don't need to interfere with the next step. He will get up soon. How do I ignite his soul flame? Xiao sounded so surprised. I have never fused with the origin of the ancient continent. How could I know that? The saying of igniting the soul flame came from the other two. With the origin, I think you have more or less of their memories. You have to figure it out yourself. I can't direct you in this matter because I don't understand the power and mysteries of the origin, said Azure Dragon begrudgingly. Ignite the soul flame. Ignite the soul flame. Xiao mumbled. He furrowed his brows and thought for a while before nodding to Azure Dragon and Ghost Hunter. This soul of mine will leave Grace Mainland for a while. If someone invades the continent when I'm not here, please take care of it. Of course, said Azure Dragon arrogantly. Xiao didn't talk more. His phantom faded and vanished. At the same time, his real body in the faraway from Thunder Firmament Star area opened his eyes. He muttered, "Ignite the soul flame." He looked at the wisps of the Thunder Dragon soul. A blurry shadow became clear in his pupils, and he sat on the soul altar together with his host's soul. The clusters of heaven flames in the co-soul flew out of Xiaoyan's eyes and turned into flaming lights that headed toward the star area barrier where there were the wisps of immemorial Thunder Dragon soul. When the heaven flames found them, they released different powers. After several fusions, Xiao had 4 types of heaven flames, including the combination of the world-extinguishing thunder flame, the 9 serenity soul devouring flame, and the cold ice flame, the combination of the earth flame, the true purgatory flame, and the vermilion bird true flame, and the combination of the immemorial demonic flame, the Een spirit ghost flame, and the corpse vanishing flame. The last flame that hadn't fused with the others was the primal chaos sacred flame. The 3 combined flames had turned into clusters of fire that moved around the wisps of the immemorial Thunder Dragon's soul and tried to connect them. But they failed. However, when the primal chaos scared flame touched them, the wisps of soul shivered hard. Primal chaos sacred flame, the flame that was naturally formed at the dawn of the continent. It's a strong form of existence like immemorial lives. It can cultivate itself, create lives, and even resurrect the dead by igniting the flame of life. It ranks first. Xiao suddenly recalled the primal chaos sacred flame's definition. The primal chaos sacred flame was the flame that could resurrect the dead by igniting their flame of life. Xiao found the right direction all of a sudden. His mind flickered to have the other 3 combinations of flames retreat. His soul power gushed out and poured into the primal chaos sacred flame. The origin from the co-soul filled the primal chaos sacred flame like seawater to strengthen it. Then, the primal chaos sacred flame covered the scattered wisps of the immemorial Thunder Dragon soul. Shriek! 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 The immemorial Thunder Dragon's soul screamed strangely. The wisps that had been separated from each other for a long time revived and glowed with the new life that the primal chaos sacred flame had given them. Some flames appeared by the area of the separated wisps of soul. They were the flames of life. At the same time, the life and mechanical energy came out from the Thunder Dragon. The electric beams shot out and covered the skeleton. Then, the earth and heaven energy in Thunder Firmament Star area rolled torrentially towards the immemorial Thunder Dragon. All of a sudden, flesh and blood started to grow on the dragon's skeleton. After the immemorial thunder dragon's flame of life was ignited, he was instinctively reviving himself. Chapter 1307, Lady and Qing Xiao, Bright Lightning and Azure Firmament. Chapter 1307, Lady and Qing Xiao, Bright Lightning and Azure Firmament. The primal chaos sacred flame ranked the first among the 10 heaven flames of Grace Mainland. It was also the toughest one to get. Previously, when Shi found the primal chaos sacred flame, it was trying to take the origin of the continent. Besides the fact that Lao Luo and the Ring Spirit had used the Origin's energy to bring Shi from another universe, the other reason why Grace Mainland's energy was massively reduced was that the primal chaos sacred flame had absorbed the Origin's energy. If Shi hadn't discovered it earlier, the primal chaos sacred flame could have evolved to an incredible level that would have helped it swallow all the other heaven flames. And then, it could have replaced Shi to become the fountainhead or the soul of the ancient continent. No one knew how it was formed. In legends, it was there at the dawn of the ancient continent. It was a wisp of the ancient continent's spirit. It had a magical power that could ignite the flame of life one more time. Today, Shi knew that the legends were true. The wisps of the immemorial thunder dragon's separated soul were gathered in the mysterious flame of the primal chaos sacred flame. A flow of clear soul consciousness arose with the power of thunder and lightning. It was drawn by a flexible and lively flame. The immemorial thunder dragon's skeleton now had vigorous life energy as flesh and skin were growing. The immemorial thunder dragon was reviving itself. After the soul flame was ignited, he instinctively gathered the torrential energy of Thunder Firmament star area and it congregated in the monster body to gather the soul. Lightning and electric beams shot out while the dragon's soul was processing, which scared Shi. The clusters of the primal chaos sacred flame were like Shi soul consciousness that suddenly condensed and turned into a crystal clear flame like a lotus flying into his head. The co-soul flew out and generated a relaxing and serene feeling. Shi was startled. He quietly retreated and no longer cared about the immemorial thunder dragon's resurrection anymore. For the time being, he let his body and soul sink into that wonderful feeling. Now, the magical power that could ignite the soul flame of the primal chaos sacred flame became clear to Shi. It appeared inexplicably in his inner world and it sublimated his soul. The co-soul seemed to understand something magical indeed. At this moment, the immemorial thunder dragon's scattered soul was gathering and creating a dazzling lightning and electric halo that people didn't dare to watch. This kind of halo had the power to threaten even souls. Ouyang Luoshuang had to retreat further away. She couldn't help but look at Shi. Her clear and bright eyes showed her astonishment. She could see many flames multiply on Shi's body. Those flames had the life seal that was pretty similar to Shi's. While they were generating and burning, they were doing some amendment to Shi's soul and body. Countless flames were like exquisite knives in the hands of skillful craftsmen that were fixing and quenching Shi's body and some natural seals in his body. It was an incredible method that the ordinary people could never explain that was filling the flaws in his body and life and making him approach the perfect condition. Looking at Shi at this moment, she suddenly remembered what her teacher Carefree had told her. There were millions of races with different features, but none of them was called perfect. Even the God Clan. In the flow of countless years in history, there were the 4 strongest races, which were the God Clan, Immortal Demon Clan, Heavenly Monster Tribe, and Imperial Dark Tribe. They were acknowledged as the races with the highest living forms. The members of these 4 clans could understand the truth of power easily. They could use their abilities of the body and the soul to the utmost level. However, they still had flaws which were innate. Imperial Dark Tribe had feeble bodies. Heavenly Monster Tribe wasn't good at training the soul. The God Clan and the Immortal Demon Clan were balanced, but their souls weren't as exquisite as Imperial Dark Tribes and their bodies weren't as tough as Heavenly Monster Tribes. The 4 great races still had flaws. Throughout the endless time, there was only one person with the closest to perfect living form. That was bloodthirsty. Any creature could evolve to the perfect condition. With the supernatural and fortunate encounter, the God Clan, Immortal Demon Clan, Imperial Dark Tribe, and Heavenly Monster Tribe could eliminate the inborn flaws to become perfect. In fact, the foundation of the cultivation was to cultivate the body and quench the soul. In other words, it was a self-development process to eliminate or overcome innate flaws. The life form and the body structure could improve endlessly, and it could even be imparted to the next generations. The offspring of the two experts would have better advantages compared to the offspring of the ordinary people. What Carefree had told her arose in Ouyang Luo Shuang's head. Her eyes twinkled when she looked at Shi Yan. She suddenly understood it. Shi Yan's current condition showed that he was walking on a magical self-developing path. Those incredible flames were the drugs that helped him evolve, filling and overcoming the flaws in his body and making him approach perfection. The Sea Territory, Ancient God Star Area. Carefree and Light were sitting cross-legged in the void, their faces stern. Not far from them was the crowd of God Clan experts. They bowed slightly and watched the other two with respectful faces. The terrifying energy that could even crush an entire planet emitted from the two heavenly kings' bodies. Just like two rapid, fierce rivers, they ran directly to a blocked space passage. This passage was the door to Thunder Firmament Star Area that DeCarlos had used his supernatural power to seal. At this moment, the space passage looked like an overstretched balloon that could explode at any minute. The energy fluctuating from Carefree and Light seeped into the space passage and ran directly to the barrier of Thunder Firmament Star Area. If someone sent the soul consciousness to check, he could see that the entire Thunder Firmament Star Area was separated and the orange waves of lights were protecting it. It looked like a light bulb with a massive orange lampshade. The twinkling stars inside the lampshade were life stars inside Thunder Firmament Star Area. The farthest layer was the first crystal-clear protection of the star area where countless lightning beams were crawling. It was DeCarlos' power. At this moment, that defensive protection like an orange lampshade went under attack. A formidable force had applied on it and deformed it. At some spots, this protection looked like there was a hand pressing on an air balloon. It could pierce through the layer and explode the balloon soon. Once that protection was pierced through, the consequence was going to be terrifyingly unimaginable. The barrier around Thunder Firmament Star Area would be affected first. The twinkling life stars would shatter and turn into dust. Billions of creatures living on those planets would perish immediately. An entire life star could be erased and never be recovered. Carefree and Light were outraged when they knew that the Bradley family members were killed in the star area. They didn't regret destroying the entire star area to take revenge. They wanted to damage DeCarlos and destroy Shi Yan. If they succeeded, all the creatures living in Thunder Firmament Star Area would be buried altogether with Shi Yan. Carefree had a way to protect Ouyang Luo Shuang when the star area got obliterated. Something is wrong. Suddenly, Carefree opened his eyes. His tender, handsome face was restless and anxious. Heavenly King Light stopped his action. He instinctively opened the wine bottle and took a swig. The seal is loosened. I can feel the feeble commotions of the outer layer. A formidable soul is doing something there and gathering the energy of Thunder Firmament Star Area to recover its power. That person might be dormant because of serious damages. I guess he's about to wake up. Do you remember the old friend of DeCarlos from Heavenly Monster Tribe? Carefree's face changed instantly. Light's sturdy body slightly quivered and said resolutely, "We should try harder." Finally, I know why DeCarlos had sent that kid to Thunder Firmament Star Area. That kid has the origin of Grace Mainland. And Grace Mainland is the cradle of that one. I should have thought about it. Carefree's eyes became cold and dark. They then became restless and didn't retain any bit of energy. They tried to attack the orange protection harder. Instantly, the energy gushing from them doubled. Tui. On a light band outside the star area that no one could detect, DeCarlos' senile face reddened. He spurted out blood, which was as beautiful as precious gemstones. His 10 fingers shivered. 10 space light bands shot out and poured on the barrier outside Thunder Firmament Star Area. DeCarlos looked worried. His sight had cross layers of spaces to see Shi Yan. He muttered to himself, "There is not much time left. I have to break the barrier before the seal is broken." Otherwise, Thunder Firmament star area will be erased. We can't let them obliterate the star area you used to rule. Afterward, De Carlos was shaken. He laughed happily then. Haha, you're worth your reputation, Lady. He guessed that the immemorial Thunder Dragon's body was generating billions of lightning beams that were moving to every corner of Thunder Firmament star area like rivers flowing to a big sea. After less than a minute, the immemorial Thunder Dragon's body had sufficient blood and flesh. All of a sudden, a massive lightning bolt fell on the Thunder Dragon's head. Its body slightly twitched. All of a sudden, a lightning strike with the power that could shatter the world expanded everywhere. At the same time, the heart of each of the warriors cultivating lightning power Upanishad suddenly convulsed while their souls had strange vibes. It was like the mark of the birth of a creature who had formed the principles of thunder and electric power and became the representative for the true meaning of lightning and thunder. At the same time in Tsunami Star Area, Caesar, the master of the Broken Hall, a warrior who had dedicated his whole life to cultivate lightning power, looked shocked. His soul altar moved. He pondered for a while and thundered, "Some creature cultivating lightning power Upanishad is about to reach second sky of a mortal realm and has triggered the utmost power of this Upanishad. As far as I know, besides the holy beast Azure Dragon, this individual is the second one to reach this level. No need to guess. That's the immemorial Thunder Dragon of Heavenly Monster Tribe. When De Carlos has visited Thunder Firmament Star Area, I knew it would happen." The president of Tsunami Chamber of Commerce smiled. Lady, the immemorial Thunder Dragon, and Qing Xiao, the Azure Dragon, are the ancestors of Heavenly Monster Tribe. They both cultivate thunder and lightning power Upanishad. However, Lady has mastered the lightning power and Qing Xiao has mastered electric power. They used to fight against each other for the chief position of Heavenly Monster Tribe. After Lady was defeated, he disappeared. Then, he accompanied De Carlos and helped him cultivate his power. Lady and Qing Xiao have mastered lightning and electric powers respectively. In fact, they came from the same bloodline. They are brothers. Unfortunately, the two have been fighting their whole lives. They have never united. I read one thing in the secret records of the previous president. It has impressed me deeply. What's that? Caesar, Ling Xiang, and Lorraine asked in unison. Thunder Dragon and Azure Dragon were born from one zygote. One for lightning and the other for electric powers. They could fuse into one body using the secret technique of Heavenly Monster Tribe. If they fused, they would control the ultimate power of lightning and electric. They would be unrivaled, said the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Listening to him, the leaders of the other three forces discolored in fright. Fear devoured them instantly. Chapter 1308, Old Friends Reunite. Chapter 1308, Old Friends Reunite, _. The two ancestors of Heavenly Monster Tribe were creatures that had been living the longest lives in the world. Their levels and powers had a close relationship with their age. The monster body grew daily. To the warriors from other races, living longer didn't mean that they were stronger. However, to Heavenly Monster Tribe, their longevity was the key to their power. If the two 100,000-year-old monsters could fuse with each other using the secret technique of Heavenly Monster Tribe, how powerful could they be? What the president had said made Ling Xiang, Caesar, and Lorraine sink into their thoughts. They could feel the lightning rumble in their heads and make them baffled. What kind of Heavenly Monster Tribe secret technique can fuse creatures together? How could they have such a wonderful technique? Lorraine was surprised. Tianxia, does your Chamber of Commerce's secret records have anything about the fusion, if any, of Heavenly Monster Tribe's two ancestors? Ling Xiang frowned. Tianxia was the name of Tsunami Chamber of Commerce's president. In this vast universe, not many people knew his name. The experts who knew this name were all ones with important roles and extremely profound power Upanishads. The record only says that they can fuse with each other, but it doesn't say how. I think these two ancestors of Heavenly Monster Tribe have never fused before. Because if they had, there would have been some rumors. Tianxia, the president, shook his head. Only when Heavenly Monster Tribe is in danger will they join hands to counter the enemy. He turned to Caesar. According to your sensibility, Lady should reach second sky of Immortal Realm. Xiao is at the same realm. Heavenly Monster Tribe now has 2 monster ancestors at second sky of Immortal Realm. Heavenly Monster Tribe will stand on Yan's side. The God Clan will be more pressured. It's good then. Xiang looked happy. That's how we can preserve our force. It's really tough when we count on only the bloodthirsty force when the God Clan's 4 great heavenly kings are at second sky of Immortal Realm in addition to the God Lord who is recovering. It will be easier when Heavenly Monster Tribe joins the team. Xia, De Carlos, is an uncertain factor. Only you know him in our group. You ask, will he stand on the same side as us? Lorraine's face became stern. Xiang and Caesar also looked at the president. De Carlos was the most known expert with the highest attainment in cultivating space power Upanishad. According to Xia, he had entered second sky of Immortal Realm. It was a marvelous yet terrifying level of an expert cultivating space power Upanishad. It had the same meaning as the undying condition. An expert at second sky of Immortal Realm cultivating space power Upanishad was stronger than 2 experts at the same realm but with different power Upanishads. With this expert on their side, they didn't need to worry about the barriers in this vast sea of stars. It would be much more convenient. If De Carlos was with them, their force would be greatly enhanced, which would give them more advantages in the future. It was the reason why Xiang, Caesar, and Lorraine cared about De Carlos's attitude a lot. I can't understand De Carlos. Xia's eyes shot out a strange light as he said calmly. But I'm sure he won't be on the God Clan side or join hands with the bloodthirsty force. The relationship between De Carlos and Minghao is something we should consider too. It's between a friend and enemy. I'm not really certain. Listening to him, Xiang and the others were surprised and guessed the relationship between De Carlos and Minghao. Xia hadn't explained it to them yet. He only said, back to the topic. You guys need to take action now. Go to Prosaic Star Area, Hollow Fearsome Star Area, and Dry Bone Star Area to persuade them to stay on our side. Got it, the other 3 nodded. Thunder Firmament Star Area. Yan got up. The scorching lightning beam winding around him released a fierce electric current. When he opened his eyes, he saw an imposing man like a mountain standing upright in front of him. That man wore silver clothes, but his arms were exposed. Lightning beams were crawling on his arms like snakes. His eyes were like 2 lightning balls that would shake someone's soul hard like getting hit by a lightning strike after one look at them. Ouyang Luoshuang stood by the man, her face respectful but cold. She didn't say anything, but she looked like she was bullied. See? He wakes up now. He's fine, right? Little girl, you're annoying. Why were you persistent in stopping me? Why didn't you believe in this old lay? His voice was like grumbling thunder pounding on people's eardrums. However, he seemed to not notice that he was spraying his saliva while talking. Ouyang Luoshuang didn't know how to put up with him. She just quietly avoided him as she was afraid that his saliva would reach her. After Lady revived, he had caught up with the situation pretty well. He turned into his humanoid form and then came to look at Yan. Ouyang Luoshuang had stopped him from bothering Yan. At that moment, Yan was burning by the heaven flames and he was in a magical comprehending circumstance. She was afraid that Lady would disturb Yan and make him fall into bedevilment. Lady thought that she was so annoyed so he used a beam of lightning to tie her up. When Yan woke up, he untied her and yelled, "His marvelous change is done. It's not gonna hurt him if we wake him up now." This kind of body development happens really quickly. You don't need to worry a lot. You're IT? Yan frowned, looking at Lady. You've broken through to the new realm? The lightning beams wound around his body like many snakes. It was lightning energy that overflowed. At his level, Lady's lightning energy shouldn't act that way unless he had just broken through to the new realm. Kiddo, you got keen eyes. You're worthy of the one with our ancestral land's origin. Thanks to you, I've entered second sky of Immortal Realm. Haha, I can fight against Xiao now. Last time, he defeated me. I lost the battle for the chief position. This time, I will have it back, Lady grinned. Qing Xiao, screamed Shuryen. He's Azure Dragon. Qing Xiao is his name. Where is he now? Asked Lady. On Heavenly Monster Tribe's ancestral star, Shuryen observed him and sneered. Currently, your Heavenly Monster Tribe isn't a strong force. Because of Azure Dragon, Imperial Dark Tribe can't obliterate your tribe. And now, you want to fight with him? Without him, Heavenly Monster Tribe couldn't have existed. You should thank him. Thank him for defeating you that year. I can tell if you were the chief of Heavenly Monster Tribe. Heavenly Monster Tribe might not exist by now. Shuryen didn't mean to stab Lady like that. At first glance, he knew this man had typical characteristics of Heavenly Monster Tribe. He was rough, brutal, and not really slick and sly. Most of all, he didn't have plans or patience. Lady might be an innate warrior with endless power on the battlefield. But if he was the chief of the tribe, he would have brought a deadly disaster to his tribe. As Shuryen had fused with the Grace Mainland's origin, he considered Heavenly Monster Tribe as his subjects. When he thought about them, he did it with the position of a superior. If he could choose, he would still choose Azure Dragon to be the chief. Lady could fight for Heavenly Monster Tribe, but he was just a pure warrior. He wasn't good chief material. Hey, kid, your speaking isn't pleasant to my ears. If you didn't awaken me, I would have thought you had to speak for sure. But now, seize the time and get out of this Thunder Firmament star area. Carefree and Light are about to get here. You can make no difference even if you stay. Also, DeCarlos and I have to take care of you if you stay. Lady grinned and said, DeCarlos has lifted the seal. You can feel something, I'm sure. You cultivate space power Upanishad, so you should feel the change. With the relationship between you and the ancestral star, you can run away in any minute. I advise you to leave as soon as possible. Don't let Carefree and Light kill you in just a blink of an eye. Listening to him, Shuryen spun his soul altar and activated his space power Upanishad in the tier of powers Upanishads. Layers of space energy like ripples on a water surface expanded from his body. His god power circulated and was sent through his veins, releasing an aura of space blades. A marvelous energy seeped out from his bone and functioned as a space barrier to protect his body. It helped him adapt to strict conditions in any space cracks. From Shuryen, the space energy rippled and connected to Thunder Firmament star area instantly. The star map of the entire star area appeared in his head like a three-dimension picture. His soul consciousness had expanded endlessly. Thunder Firmament star area in his head seemed to shrink billions of times and become a nebula as big as a palm of a hand in his sea of consciousness. He could see everything happening in the star area. That nebula of Thunder Firmament star area had an outmost orange light layer. That light layer was attacked fiercely. Cracks appeared. He was shaken, his eyes strange. He was really touched. Thunder Firmament star area was now a sand table that was billions of times smaller than the original. Although he couldn't check the small stars or use his soul consciousness to visit the life stars in the star area, he could see everything as if he had a bird's view. You've just reached second sky of incipient God realm. After this time, your body has sublimated, which has stabilized your realm. Lady snorted and then pouted his lips, shaking his head. Weak. Too weak. You can't even endure a blow from Carefree and Light. So, get lost. While he was talking, a space slit appeared. White-headed DeCarlos walked out from it. DeCarlos didn't look at Shuryen, but at Lady. He looked so thrilled. It's good to see you again. Lady laughed happily. Hey, buddy. You look much older, though. I still remember your innocent look that year. Haha, you've reached the immortal realm, too. Time flies so fast. The old friends reunited. They didn't even look at Shuryen and Ouyang Luo Shuang or recognize the fact that Carefree and Light were about to come. The two friends immersed in their old stories and their old world. Shuryen and Ouyang Luo Shuang exchanged the surprised looks. They looked at Lady and DeCarlos, who were like two talkative old women recalling their old junk. They didn't know what to do. After a while, DeCarlos finally reacted. He threw Shuryen a glance without turning his head and asked skeptically, "Why haven't you left yet?" "I think I should stay and watch the battle between Carefree, Light, and you guys," said Shuryen. "You're just at second sky of incipient God realm. You can't bear the shockwaves of our attacks. I advise you to leave and save us from more trouble. DeCarlos lowered his voice. If you're here, I can leave in any minute. I want to stay and watch. Even if I can't, I'll still stay. Yen was persistent. DeCarlos frowned and didn't talking more. Suit yourself. If you die, it's your bad luck. Perhaps Minghao will find it amusing though. Yen was astounded. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.